Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 10-year anniversary of Studio Jake. That's right. This is my 10-year anniversary. So please, oh, sorry about that. Please be patient with me. I'm making sure that all the places where I'm going live are in fact going live. So bear with me for a few minutes. And as I do this, I just wanted to talk to everyone, and I really wanted to thank everyone. It is so hard to believe that I have been on this journey for 10 years. I remember when I first pitched the idea for Studio Jake Media. Originally, it was called something else. Originally, it was Lone Star Daily, and then it was just jakeberry.blog before it finally morphed into Studio Jake Media. And it's been an amazing adventure. It's something that I loved. I love a great deal. This is my passion project. Now, the YouTube side of it, I've always seen the YouTube complementary to my main website, which is, of course, studiojakemedia.com. I just revamped the site for the 10-year anniversary. So I'm pretty excited that it's there. And I want you all to know that this would not have been possible without everyone who is supporting me. And I would like to thank Getter because this is my first time streaming live to Getter. So thank you very much. I am on, I'm streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Getter. And I see my brother-in-law Tyler is in the chat. Thank you. Thank you for the congratulations. This has been such a fun and adventurous sort of idea that came to mind. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of my backstory. So the reason I came up with the idea for Studio Jake Media was originally I had written a movie review. I was a pretty consistent writer for this particular Christian movie review website, and I talked about this with Hillary Kennedy when she took over Studio Jake yesterday. But I just want to reiterate for those of you who may have missed it, but go back and watch it because, for one thing, Hillary Kennedy is amazing. She's fantastic. So, but just to get a little bit of that, I actually went to this website and I reviewed the movie Parker that stars Jason Statham. And I wasn't really a fan of it. And at this particular Christian review website, they wanted their reviewers, to talk about the morality of the film. So I did. I said, "Hey, listen, listen. I have this movie is really bad. It kind of glorifies being a thief, stealing things from people, even not even like rich, wealthy people. Like it just glorified just thievery in general." So I said, from a morality, it's actually pretty bad. That being said, if you just want a popcorn movie, like go ahead, give it a try. Whatever. It's just kind of a base action movie. Like it's nothing that really impressive. Well, unfortunately, that the upper ups at this particular website did not like this. They wanted me to just totally slam the movie, and so they had one of their editors totally rewrite my review and just slam the movie. Which, like I said, Parker, it's not that great of a movie. I just said it was just, if you just want to watch a popcorn flick, go for it. But yeah, it was really odd. And so that made me mad that I was censored. And I wrote kind of a sharply worded email, which is kind of funny because I make fun of people who did that. But I did that in this case. And I said, "Hey, listen, why did you censor it?" And they said, "Well, because you weren't firm enough on the morality." I said, "It glorifies thievery and that's bad." And so there was a little bit of a back and forth. And the guy basically, the editor of this particular website, which I'm not going to name, so I don't want to be accused of sending mobs, even though I don't have a mob. I don't want to be accused of that. But he said, "Go start your own website if you don't like our rules." So that's what I did. And like I said, it originally started out as Lone Star Daily. I think before the transition to jakeberry.blog, it was actually, I think I changed it to Lone Star Jake 22 because I was born August 22nd. And then before jakeberry.blog. And then finally I thought, hey, you know what? I'm the studio. I'm handling all this. I mean, my wife is my producer and she does a fantastic job doing that. but I was like, I am the studio. So that's when I came up with the name StudioJake, and that's the one that has fit. And it's been such a fantastic journey, one that I really love. I remember, and I've got it right here. So this is my very first press pass. This is for, I believe, the 2015 Politicon. It might have been 2016. I can't remember specifically what year it was, but at the time I was writing for Red Alert Politics and another a sort of conservative outlet called Red Millennial, and I was there representing them at the time. And both those organizations are defunct. I like to joke that oh, my sister's in the house. Thank you, sis. Super cool. I appreciate that. And it's been quite a journey since then. This was the first convention I ever covered. It was Politicon. I met a lot of people there. I got to meet some CNN, some MSNBC reporters and other things, and other folks and whatnot. It was a great sort of adventure. And I just think that it's been amazing seeing it grow, because when I started out, there was exactly 3 subscribers. 4 later, so the first 3 were my family members, and then my now wife, she became my 4th subscriber, and it's gone from 4 to over 8,000. Now my YouTube channel is a lot smaller. Obviously, it's got over 500. I'm super happy with that, but I am so thankful for the people who have subscribed to StudioJakeMedia.com via email or through the WordPress app or through social media. That means a great deal to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I do it for you. I know I can be a contrarian sometimes. A lot of people don't like my opinions about things, but that's just who I am. I want to try my best to give you an authentic experience when it comes to the things that I enjoy, such as comic books or anime, and now manga and movies and television and true crime. I want to give you my honest thoughts and bring them to you. And in other places I worked, I wasn't allowed to do that. I would always have to grade on a curve, or I wasn't allowed to grade certain things. And so that's one reason why I'm so thankful for StudioJake Media, is I'm able to do that. And besides my YouTube channel, and now, like I said, streaming live together, I'm also expanding. I'm now on Locals. So if you want to support me, you can go to studiojakemedia.locals.com and support me there. It's right now the YouTube link is up. I tried to start the live stream on Locals. For some reason it was giving me trouble, but I think it was user error. I don't think it had anything to do with Locals. But anyway, I'm very excited for tonight. I've got some special guests, and I promise some secret confessions. So first hour, my secret confession for this one time is that my first celebrity crush was a Christian pop singer named Joy Williams. So I don't even think she's singing anymore. I think she's retired, but if she somehow sees this, you were my first crush. So anyway, just something funny to throw out there. But anyway, that's my first secret confession. And I think it's time to bring on my first guest. So I have a very good friend of mine. She has been helpful to me in the writing process. She's helped me with my first 2 novels. She's been a beta reader for me. She's been an advisor and everything in between. It is my good friend C.S. Johnson. She has written several books, including The Princess and the Peacock. And oh my gosh, I'm blanking because she has so many amazing books, but I'll let her tell you more about that. So without further ado, C.S. Johnson, welcome to StudioJake. Can you hear me? Are you on?
Myself.
Oh, there she is. Live radio, everyone. But thank you so much for coming on. Just so y'all know, if I call if I call CS Johnson CJ, that's how I know her as her friend. So I just so if you hear me call her CJ, I am referring to my friend CS Johnson. But thank you for coming on my 10th anniversary live stream.
Yay, happy birthday. I mean, happy anniversary. Yes, congratulations. 10 years
Thank
is a
you.
long time. So good job.
It is. So tell me, you've got some exciting projects coming up. What's I noticed that you're writing more short stories. You're doing some novellas. So what do you have come down to the pike? What's the exciting news?
Oh, well, I actually have 3 books out today. They're all novellas.
Nice.
They're collections though. So it's but no, I got my Life of Pies murder mystery thing. I'm trying to do a serial of like a novelette serial with that just because I hate pie. So I was like, I'm gonna write a pie story one day just because I hate pie. I have it all planned out, and the only pie I really like is pumpkin, and that's gonna be December's release. So it's like, yep, that's for last.
Well, this is a place where I have to disagree with you because I just love pie. Apple, pecan, pumpkin, bring it on. But we can be friends and disagree. Maybe not on the pie thing, but me and CJ will work that out.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's okay.
So tell me, I'm curious. I want to hear your version of how you and I kind of got into contact and became friends and stuff. Because I could tell my version of it, but I want to hear your version first.
Oh, okay. I started joking with you on Twitter about celebrity. What was it? Celebrity Survivor. It's like,
That's
oh
right.
my gosh, what if this celebrity had to go into a Walmart and buy clothes? Or, oh my gosh, what if this celebrity had to go to like church? It's just one of those things where it's like we could think of quite a few terrifying situations for celebrity. Like I think they had like wife swap on Lifetime around this time still, and I was thinking, yep, celebrity life swap. Maybe I should swap positions with somebody who's really, really famous and see what it's like dealing with all these shallow people. Maybe I'd become one of them and I'd understand more about stuff.
As long as you don't pick Amber Heard, I think you'll be okay.
I don't think we have to worry about that. So.
Yeah, that's right. And then you eventually came on my show. I went on Faith Hill's show with you. Faith Hill, what am I saying? And not the singer.
Yeah, Faith Moore, yeah.
Yes, Faith Moore. And speaking of Faith Moore, she just popped in to the green room, so I'm going to add her to the stream as well. So just so y'all know, Faith Moore is someone that I also met through Twitter, although technically I used to work with her father, the novelist Andrew Clavin. And Faith herself is the author of the book Saving Cinderella, which I highly recommend. I loved it so much, I got a physical copy and I have it on Audible. So I'm going to add her on to the stream right now.
Hi.
Faith, welcome to our 10th anniversary live stream.
Hi, Woo. Happy 10th anniversary. Congratulations. I went to the actual stream to see what was happening, and I saw that you were here, CJ, and so I said I would jump on. Hi.
Yep.
And I'm curious.
I'm sorry, Jake, we showed up too early. We're just going to ruin the rest of the stream because this is the best. This is peak media time.
This is going to be the highlight of the whole stream.
I was like, maybe CJ's here, and also I have to go to bed because it's really late over here.
That's right. Yes, the East Coast, right? Well, yeah. All right. Well, I won't keep you long, Faith, but I am curious. So you and I have had many discussions about fiction and fantasy, as well as your expertise is really in Disney princesses, mine in comic books. But I'm a little curious. I'm going to ask all my guests a similar question. So I'm going to, since you're not able to stay for that long, I want to lob it to you first. What do you think is my worst take that I have had in my career as a pop culture commentator?
Well, I don't know about your worst take because I mean, I have to admit I haven't watched every single episode of the 10 years of your show. But I almost wore my Little Mermaid shirt because I wanted to troll you. And then I thought, no, this is actually like a celebration for him. And so do that. That would be rude. So I didn't. But I just feel like, you and I think that's the thing that we have disagreed on the most, is whether or not The Little Mermaid is a good movie. I continue to maintain that it's a good movie. I continue to maintain that everybody, that the feminists are wrong about it, and also that you are wrong about it. And so I'm going to go with that.
All right, fair enough. And for those of you who don't know, I think The Little Mermaid is the first feminist Disney princess. And I won't expand on it right now. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I actually haven't done like a video about it where I just talk about that topic. I've just kind of talked about it on other people's channels. Maybe I should do a breakdown of why I think that. But so I went on when Faith Moore was more active on her own channel. I actually went on and she and I discussed this during a Disney Princess live stream. She had me on as a comic book expert, so that was a lot of fun. And speaking of a lot of fun, we've got our third guest for the night. She just popped on. So this is Jester Bell. She is. Her real name is Teresa. I'm not doxing her. This is pretty common knowledge. So, but she hosts the channel Jester Bell. She also does pop culture commentary like me. She's a big Harley Quinn fan, and she's a short film director and she does a lot of really awesome shorts that are comedies and horror. So definitely head over to her YouTube channel and subscribe. It's Jester Bell. So welcome to the live stream.
I'm proud of my hair. I went swimming today and my hair is a mess, so I decided I'm just going to come on like that.
It's all right.
It's a new style.
This is definitely going to be a chill stream. So, ladies, this is actually a really great opportunity. I'm curious, what are some of your movies you're looking forward to that are upcoming for this year? We've already had kind of a stinker year in some regards. Anime's riding high, Top Gun is riding really high, but everything else. So CJ, you came on first, so I'm going to lob the question at you. Is there a particular movie or TV show or mini series that you're looking forward to for the rest of 2022?
So I've been trying to go back and watch more Star Trek stuff. So because it's gone off the rails. So I'm actually looking forward to sitting down and watching Battlestar Galactica for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly.
Yes. There's nothing new that interests me. So I've seen a lot of the stuff, and then I've seen a lot of the comments, and I'm like, nope.
That's one of the reasons I love Tubi so much is Tubi brings us lots of those kind of early 2000s shows like Andromeda. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's got Kevin Sorbo, and you just can't go wrong with it. And so, Faith, any particular movie, TV show, or even as far as kids, or because I know you've got children, so what any particular film or TV show you're looking forward to?
I feel like it's all kind of, I agree with CJ. It's like all in the past. Like there's nothing new that I want to see, and I feel like part of the reason for that is it's all kind of remakes. I feel like it's all remakes, and I know Jake that you like the superhero stuff, and I like the superhero stuff too, but I feel like now, what multiverse are we in? I don't understand. Like, you have to watch every single one. I can't. I don't have the time. I have 2 children. So I feel like basically that's what's on right now. You've got superhero movies, which are like, okay, I'll go to like one a year, and then you've got like super weird kind of arty movies that are trying to say something, and I don't know what it is. So I almost don't go to the movies anymore. I almost don't stream new movies anymore. So, I will watch the new Little Mermaid when it comes out and see what it is. But again, it's just a movie that's already been made. So why am I watching this? I don't know why, because it's my job, I guess. But so I will watch it. And on TV, I'm watching Stranger Things, but I can't recommend it. I hate this season. I hate this season. I think season 1 was good. Lots of nice 80s nostalgia. The kids were fantastic. Now they're really, really, really old, and the story doesn't make any sense. So I'm sorry. I have no recommendations for anyone.
Well, my kid's recommendation is The Floor is Lava. Just if we're talking about new TV.
I haven't seen that.
out, and it's like we got to go to Auntie's house because Auntie has Netflix. So
for me, I absolutely agree with you. The Robert Downey Jr.'s production company did a remake of Perry Mason, just atrocious. Anyone who wants good Perry Mason, go back and watch the Raymond Burr one. Go get the DVDs. I'm not sure what streaming service is on. It's CBS, so probably Paramount Plus. But whatever it is, watch the old black and white. Get this: the Perry Mason stayed in black and white when colorized TV was the norm, and it stayed high in the ratings. I think it's finale, and then they did some TV movies afterwards, but the finale is the only episode of the original show that was colorized, and the original creator of Perry Mason played the judge. Fun fact about that finale, spoiler alert. But anyway, so Jester Bell, tell me, what is a movie or TV show you're looking forward to this year?
Well, it's interesting that you said, can you guys hear me? I want to make sure okay.
We're good.
It's interesting that you said this has been a bad year for movies, and I see so many movies. I've actually had a pretty good experience this year. There's not been one movie I would say I had a bad experience seeing in the theater. Even the most disappointing movie I think came out this year, Doctor Strange 2. I did a video on that and how that movie's a mess, but even that,
great video, by the way. Go watch it after you watch this live stream.
Thank you. Like I thought that movie was a mess. I still was entertained in the theater, but it's interesting because when you asked that question, I realized, have I seen everything that I was interested in this year already? Because I saw the Batman, I saw Doctor Strange 2. I'm not looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder. It's coming out next week. I saw the Elvis movie, and I'm not even an Elvis fan, and I actually really enjoyed that movie. I saw
the director is the same one that did Moulin Rouge, and I love Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
so I had a feeling it would turn out pretty good.
It's really good. What else did I see this year? Now I'm completely blanking. Top Gun, of course, I've seen 5 times right now. It's because I have Regal Unlimited, so I basically get movies for free. But I saw that one 5 times. So it's been a really good year for movies for me. And then there's been some independent stuff. I haven't seen The Northman yet, but there's been some independent stuff.
By the way, it's very violent, but it's good.
That's worked out. I don't really know, because I feel like the Nope movie, there's some horror movies like Nope that I'm interested in to see how they turn out. But it's like I feel like I've already seen all that I was really interested in, and that I have to have more things come up. I'm interested in how the Babylon movie by Damien Chazelle turns out, but I'm not going to watch it because the script leaked online and I read parts of it and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not watching this. So but I'm curious to see how, like, the trailer and how that's received, but I'm not really thinking about what I'm really interested in now in terms of new stuff. I'm finding it's much more rare that I find something I'm interested in on streaming. And right now I can't really think of anything like that, but I'm sure it'll come up for me. And I think that there are good movies and good things being made now. It's just, you kind of have to look for them. They're not always put in front of you.
And speaking of looking for movies, I'm going to see if I can fit him in here. I'm not sure if I'm at my StreamYard's limit, but hopefully not. But I have with us Christian Toto. He is the founder and editor of HollywoodandToto.com, and he is up on all the news and all the blues of the film industry as well as the television industry. And Christian Toto and I, we met on Twitter as well. I started following his website because I was like, oh, someone who's a movie critic who's not woke. This is exciting. And so now, for those of you who don't know, I did a video about this. I don't consider myself a movie critic. I consider myself a movie reviewer. I have a video about that where I break that down. Some people may say I'm nitpicking. I don't care. I'm just going to do what I do. And Christian Toto does what he does. So he's also the host of a podcast, and I'll let him tell you all about it. So Christian Toto, welcome to the StudioJake 10th anniversary live stream.
Thank you, and congratulations on the a big announcement, the big years. That's amazing. You know, so many people get into videos, get into blogging, get into this whole space, and they just go away. They don't have the persistence. You've done just that, so that's a rare feat.
And I really appreciate that. And I would like to I have actually a funny story about Christian Toto. So we have met.
It's not true, I swear.
So,
It's true
and
if it involves the dog, okay?
Yeah. I just realized Matt's movie reviews. He's in the YouTube chat. He says, congrats on 10 years. Thank you, Matt. Head over to his YouTube channel as well. He does amazing reviews and interviews with people as well, Matt's movie reviews. But anyway, funny story about Christian Toto. So I did a kind of a small, very smallish favor for Christian Toto back in the Daily Wire days. When I was with Daily Wire, Christian Toto still does chats with them, I believe, on their website. And one day he said, "Hey, you did this favor for me. Can I do anything for you?" And I said, so I sent him my review of the live action Ghost in the Shell. And I said, "Hey, could you give me some pointers? Give me some constructive criticism." And so he wrote me this very long, very friendly email that basically said my review was garbage. And and he did not say that, by the way, but I read through the lines. But he also gave me some constructive criticism, how to better model my reviews. And I really appreciate that, because I think I really took his advice to heart, and I really appreciated that advice, because I think my reviews have gotten better. They have certainly done better since his pointer. So Christian, I appreciate you taking the time for taking a youngin commentator like me under your wing and giving some sage advice.
My pleasure. I mean, I think it's always good to have an outside point of view, look at your work and kind of assess it. We get lost in our own thoughts, our own sort of behaviors and things. So it's always super helpful. I love when people read my stuff and kind of give me 2 cents on it. And there are times I've had editors who I don't quite trust what they're up to, or they kind of nitpick in ways that are pretty meaningless. So I think good constructive criticism is really important.
Well, and Christian, since you're on, I'm going to lob the question that I asked the ladies. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume anyone's gender, but I did ask them. I did ask them if there are any movies that they are looking forward to in 2022, and most of them said basically no or maybe. So I'm curious what your thoughts are. Is there a particular title or movie you're interested in?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards no, and Nope is interesting. I think Jordan Peele is a really talented guy. So I think anything he does, I'll be there for. But I feel like, the MCU used to be a slam dunk. I just watched Thor, Love and Thunder. It's shockingly mediocre, and I'm being kind. I mean, I feel like some of the franchises are letting us down. I would have to kind of flash forward to 2023 and say the Mission Impossible films. I think Tom Cruise is really onto something with their franchise. He basically needed 3 or 4 movies to kind of get the formula right, and now it's locked in. And I think few actors really get what we want to see on screen, like Tom Cruise, and really care about it. And I think he cares about nothing else. I don't think he cares about woke or doing this or that. I think he's laser focused, and he may be an odd duck off screen. I don't really care, but I think he really is devoted to giving you the best bang for your buck at the theater. So I love that about him. But I don't know whether it's a product of age or the movies lately. I just haven't been super excited by films of late. Although, having said that, I thought The Northman was good. I thought Top Gun was excellent. And I liked Men, which was pretty woke / feminist, but I think as a horror movie, it was a home run. So
pretty gnarly movie there.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Could I interject a couple things?
Well, of course. Okay? I want to ask him one question real quick before that. So I actually saw a Reddit rumor thing about Thor: Love and Thunder. I know you don't want to give spoilers or anything ahead of turn, but I've actually heard that it is not a bait and switch movie. Can you confirm or deny that it's not bait and switch? Or I mean, as far as the typical the male protagonist gets replaced by a strong, powerful female who probably used to be a villain that massacred people.
Or he's not like the secondary character in his own movie.
Right, kind of like Obi-Wan with Reva. Can you confirm or deny this, or it would give too much away?
No, I'm happy to confirm that. I think it's pretty basic, and I'm allowed to, share on social media. So I think this is sort of the wiggle room I need. But no, it really is about Thor. Natalie Portman is a main character. She's critical to the story, but it's not like he is pushed aside and the secondary character is now the star, which I actually had a problem with the Mad Max Fury Road a few years ago. I have no problem with Charlize Theron, but it's a Mad Max movie. I kind of want to see Mad Max front and center, and they kind of pushed him aside. That's not the case here.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
More about like Jezebel, you had a question. I'll let you jump in.
Oh yeah, well, he mentioned the Nope movie. I was thinking about that movie a bit, and I was thinking, So when the first trailer for that movie came out, I was all on board because I like mystery and I like when horror is focused. And then they released a second trailer, and I thought the second trailer was really bad because it revealed a lot of the plot and kind of killed some of the mystery. And I don't want to say they made it comedic, but they made it feel like it like sort of an everyday kind of movie. Like, we understand everything about this thing that they're dealing with. We understand what they're doing. And I'm like, what was good about the first trailer is there was so much mystery in that. And that's what I love about horror. It's like the unknown, and there's something you need to uncover. Something horrible is going to be uncovered. And like, you can't just have it like run of the mill. So,
well, I know what you're saying, and I agree. I mean, I think there are so few films out there.
Oh, wait, I don't mean to interject, but Faith, did you have some?
Oh, I was just waving by. I wasn't sure if I should like stay by and interrupt everyone. But I now have done that, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to just say congratulations again, and thanks for.
Well, thank you, Ed. Where can people follow you?
Oh, thank you. People can follow me on Twitter at Faith K Moore, and they can also find me on my website faithkmoore.com, where you can hire me to edit your work.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and congratulations, and enjoy the rest of your live stream.
I'm waving bye too.
Oh, bye, CJ.
Oh, no.
Where can people follow? Oh, okay. Well, before we go to the next thing, I do want to introduce our next guest. We've got someone who is a rock star, in my opinion, and probably in like millions of other people's opinions as well. This is the host of the news and Why It Matters. She has her own beauty brand. She is just a rock star on social media. This is the one and only Sarah Gonzalez. Sarah, thank you for joining the StudioJake 10th anniversary live stream.
Yeah, congrats. Happy anniversary. That's amazing. I feel like I need like a popper and champagne or something.
I know. Someone said I should have had that before I went on, and I just totally forgot. But
you should have.
I think you should get a filter for it. You should get a filter for it.
Oh yeah, I should. That's a great idea. But so Sarah, we're talking about movies and TV shows we're excited about, and as a viewer of the news and Why It Matters, I know that you recently talked about Elmo, getting the jab, as we say, as JP Sears says, vaccinated. So I'm curious is there a movie or TV show that you are looking forward to? Because you're also a mom, and are you looking forward to anything for your family coming up?
Honestly, I'm really excited to see what the Daily Wire is doing with kids programming. I can tell you that my older son has gotten on a Tuttle Twins kick. And so we're reading all of the Tuttle Twins book, and he's almost 10, and he's a very proficient reader, and he wants me to read these to him, which is actually very exhausting, but I do it. So we have like the Tuttle Twins books, and we're reading them, and we're learning about, limited government and serfdom and, all sorts of concepts that he, coercion versus persuasion, and all of these really cool concepts that aren't necessarily, indoctrinating him into anything other than enjoying freedom. And we've really been enjoying it. And I hope that there is more content that comes out, because I always feel like the bad guy. Like I just always feel like the mean, evil mom who says no to everything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else comes out that I can feel confident and comfortable exposing my kids to.
And now I'm going to bring back in CJ here for a minute. Yep. She's been awfully quiet. Now, Sarah just brought up books. And one of the things people have said is when Barnes & Noble and Amazon were bringing in their digital tablets to read books as opposed to the physical form, as you can see, I am a big fan of the physical form. I've got my Rising of the Shield Hero series. I've got C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Todd McFarlane's back there as well. It's a comic book writer, for anyone who doesn't know, is the creator of Spawn, but I have a Spider-Man collection back there. Now, but that really hasn't happened. Like, physical books have not disappeared. And I'm curious, CJ, what do you think about that? Why don't you think that books have sort of gone away as sort of a more of a niche type medium?
Part of it is definitely due to the longevity that it offers. Like, I started reading more to my kids like out of physical books. And it's funny because my husband reads from his phone, and but they enjoy me writing, or they enjoy me reading more, you know. And I think my husband has a better voice for it, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do this. But the and I think this is something that you can see across generations too. Is like, I was raised on books. I love books, and my kids are definitely more into media than I was as kids. But it's also, you know, I had 2 sisters, so we all loved books. And women in general, I think, tend to be more on the reading side and the imagination side, where boys prefer the visual and the tactile. And yeah, so it offers longevity. It offers more depth, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something in the glue, right? Huh?
Yeah, for sure. And I was speaking of books. Christian Toto just published a book, which I read and reviewed on my website. Go buy his book and then go read my review. Buy it before you read my review, because you'll agree with my review, I promise. But
I feel like I should buy a signed copy from you, Christian. So
that'd be a great idea.
I've only got one here in my entire house, so I should probably get a couple more.
Well,
foolish.
And as someone who mainly talks about film and TV, Christian, why I'm curious what your perspective is on this. Why do you think that that books have sort of this longevity? And feel free to plug your own book as you discuss it.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, maybe it ties a little bit into the whole LP revival, where we want to have these old school vinyl records, even though it doesn't really make sense in a way. There's something tactile about it. The album covers are amazing. You know, books are still pretty portable. They're pretty compact. They still have some value. There's something about having it in your hand, which I think is really, there's just, it's hard to replace that even by the digital version. So, and I think the fact that I'm going through a home makeover. My house is a mess, but in normal times, it's great to showcase your books. It's a talking point. When people come over, they look at what your collection is. It's colorful. It's interesting. I feel like it's almost like you have a memory attached to, oh gosh, I bought that book in college and I remember reading it, or I gave it to a buddy, or when I was dating my wife, we read it. And I don't know. It's just, I feel like there's a lot of there. And I think that right now in our culture, we kind of dispose of things. Like, I used to read the paper every day, the actual paper. And now it's the last thing I want to do. I want to read on my phone. So I do think that we're changing our behaviors, but with books, it's not that simple. It's interesting.
There's a sentimental
Sarah,
quality to it.
I'm sorry. I saw Sarah waving her hand. Did you want to add anything, Sarah?
No, I was actually just waving to my son, who was passing by my studio window right there.
Let's wave to him.
I gotta say, Sarah, I ordered the Tuttle Twins history book that they're coming out with for my kids.
Yeah,
and I have all their books too. I also bought a bunch of comics from Kingstow Comics. That's probably the biggest purchase that I bought for my kids lately with books. So
I'll be curious to know how you like the history ones, because it's funny. I don't know if you homeschool or not, but my husband is like all into Tuttle Twins, and he sent it to me and he's like, we need to buy this for the boys. And I was like, okay, calm down. Hold on. Let me look. And, you know, it's just like, we were homeschooling last year, and I was like, man, that would have come in really handy if we had this while we were homeschooling. But it really is like really valuable stuff to teach your kids.
And I was wondering, because as a filmmaker, how does writing sort of help you out? And do you because I know you do different genres in your short films. So, I'm curious, how does that work?
Okay, so I had a lot of thoughts going through my head with this discussion about books, and saying that maybe we hold on to books because they have more depth. So years ago, I got into an argument with my best friend. She's my best friend in the entire world. I'm still best friends with her. So I'm not saying this to not knock against her or anything, but we had very, very different perspectives when it came to books versus movies, because she grew up in a family that they did not watch TV at all. They didn't really see the value in TV or movies. They read only books. And I am a completely movie person. So we would get in little debates. And one of the very interesting things, and I don't know if I can express exactly how the conversation went here, but she was arguing movies are very shallow. If you read books, then you are reading something more intelligent. You're getting more depth out of it. And I said, so what if someone's reading the Twilight series and that's the book series they're reading? And she was like, oh, like I never thought of that. I'm like, what if they're reading like 50 Shades of Grey? And so we went into this whole big back and forth. And she just had not, because her family, and this is fine if her family had this sort of upbringing that they just did not watch movies. She'd never really explored any of the craft of it or depth. And so I was able to show, well, movies do have a lot of depth. You have to know how to read. It's like reading a book and quote unquote reading a movie are different things. And like reading comics, reading graphic novels is a kind of a different read that you have to do. So like when I write scripts, that's how I started. I'm always like, well, everything goes back to the script, and everything that you're doing when crafting a film, every shot, everything, every way you position the actors, what you're getting the actors to say, literally everything about filmmaking is writing. It's just bringing the writing in a book to life, and there can be a lot of depth in it. And so, but in terms of the original question, why we hold on to books, well, that's another creative form. Both movies and the written book is different forms of storytelling and writing and communicating, and you do get different things out of it. I'm not saying that there's things that books can offer that movies can't. There's things that movies offer that books can't. And so the reason why we hold on to books is that there is value in them as an art form, and that's always going to be distinct from something else, and that we're going to hold on to that no matter what changes. In terms, last thing I'm going to say, in terms of newspapers, you're not telling a story. It's not art when you're telling with a newspaper. You're just giving people information. So if people are going to want more convenient ways to get information, like I probably shouldn't do this, but part of the reason I have Twitter still is because it's the quickest way I can find out what's happening. And so like people, it's like different functions. People want books like to delve into stories, to delve into extensive amounts of information, but with news, they just kind of want quick as possible.
Well, and speaking of news, I'm really curious what because all of us have kind of like an attune to what's going on with Disney, whether it be from the political or the entertainment angle. And one of the big news was they just renewed Bob Chapek's contract, gave him a nice cushy deal. He's the CEO of Disney. And now I've heard two theories on this, one more optimistic than the other. One is that he did the whole thing with Florida and approved certain content just so he can root out the SJWs in Disney so he could fire them, because he did fire, I think he was the head of television programming. But in my mind, I think that's more optimistic, because I see it as Chapek was just shoring up his power, because he immediately replaced this guy with someone who is very politically active. I think even worked for Kamala Harris's campaign when she was in the primaries. And so I'm curious. I'll start with you, Sarah. Do you see? I feel like there's like this thing that people want to make Bob Chapek as the savior of Disney, and I'm just not seeing that. What do you think? Do you agree with me with the less? More, I see it more as he was just shoring up his power, kind of like what Discovery is doing with Warner Brothers. What do you think?
Oh, I completely agree with you. I don't think that that they're stopping their wokeism anytime soon. I think that they've obviously chosen to double down on it. So I don't know why he would. I don't know. That would be a really weird strategy to double down on. They decided that they were going to cut a scene in Lightyear and then decide to throw it back in, even though they were getting way more negative attention from doing that. Had they just not, if they had just shut up about it and kept going the way that they had already planned to go, they would have gotten way less negative exposure. The way that they fought back against the parental rights and education bill in Florida, like I don't think that someone would do all of those things that would be putting their own company in the crosshairs just to like sniff out people that he needed to fire. I don't see that happening. I think that, but I do think that they're in real trouble. Which honestly they should be. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's like trying to be some like savior and save the company from SJWs. I don't think he is one, but I think that he's capitulating to them.
And it's this weird thing with Disney CEOs where they have this hubris. We saw this with with Bob Eisner so he was the CEO of Disney when I was growing up. So he gave us great movies like The Lion King and whatnot. But it's just, you see towards the end of his tenure, he gets a little bit of hubris. So what does he do? He's doing Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. No one asked for that movie. Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. He just thought he could slap a Disney branding on it and it would do well. And we're kind of seeing the same thing with Disney now that they also own 20th century Star Wars and Marvel. And Christian Toto, I'm curious, what's your read on the situation? Do you think that this was kind of an attempt to maybe take back control of the company, or do you think it was just him kind of more the pessimistic view, which he's just trying to shore up his power?
I mean, I would take the more pessimistic view, but I think I want to take a broader look at this because I don't think we know everything behind the scenes. So I don't know if we can really get the truth. But what amazes me, I'm just flabbergasted, is that there were very precious things in pop culture and in the Western culture at large. And one of them is a brand that is beloved, that is revered for years and years, where kids and parents and grandparents can look to it and say, that's Disney. I trust it. It may not always give me a home run, but I know what to expect, and I'm in good hands. And the fact that in the last 2 years, they've basically taken that brand, that trust, and they've shattered it for very superficial, temporary belief systems. I'm stunned by it. I'm just stunned by it. And I think the fact that Lightyear is not doing well, I think in the past there have been maybe some murmurings on Twitter, and Twitter isn't real life, about certain products, and it doesn't always connect with the box office. But I think we've reached sort of a critical point about Disney and the messaging and the lecturing, where I think enough people said, yeah, I'm going to stay away. So the fact that Disney has this brand, has this trust, has this reputation, and they're willing to throw it away for half the country or a very minor group of people who are allowed, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that the adults in charge of that organization are letting it happen.
Right. And CJ, what do you think? What do you think about it? Because I agree with Toto. Sorry, Christian. I agree with Christian Toto. It's very it does seem very odd that Disney spent billions, which I think it's hilarious because they bought 20th Century Studios from Rupert Murdoch, right? Who's now the head of Fox Corp. He turns right around and buys the Tubi streaming service, Shout Factory, and I can't remember the name of the other studio. So right away he has access. Oh, and they just made a deal with Lionsgate. So it's now he has this access to this huge library. So I always think it's funny as Murdoch hustled Disney with their own money. Of course, that was Bob Iger who oversaw that sale. That wasn't Bob Chapek. But I'm curious, what do you think? Where do you think this is going to go? Do you think Chapek will save Disney, or do you think it's a lost cause at this point?
Well, Disney's been gone for several years now. And it's kind of funny because I went to Disney World last year with my kids. My parents wanted to take us because my kids are finally at the age that I was when we first went. And we went back in '96. So, and I just, I did not have a good experience there. It was all fake. And I mean, like, I'm a very authentic person. I'll tell you what I think. And I won't apologize for it either, because I say things typically in good faith, and I think a lot of people have lost a lot of goodwill and good faith over the years. And I think, like, I'm heartbroken because it's another nail in the coffin for my childhood. But I look around at what they're doing at Star Wars, and it's all cheap. It's content for content's sake. It's this dumbing down thing. And at the same time, I'm getting older, and I'm hopefully getting a little bit more wiser. So you can kind of see the man behind the curtain a little bit more easily than you used to anyway, as an adult. And like, my kids don't see this stuff as kids. I mean, like, I can give kind of a good example is, like, I let them, they really like, when they were really little, they went to like a daycare for a while when I would have meetings or something, and they would watch Air Buddies. Okay. And Air Buddies is like this super Disney sequel thing. And they have like super buddies and buddies in space. And I got terribly ticked off with him because it's like, why are you watching this? This is not the original Air Bud. And I actually made them watch the original Air Bud. And I sat there and they were like, Mommy, why are you crying? And I'm like, because Clown has the newspaper. And it was just, yeah, so like they don't have, so instead they have like flashy, showy things like Super Buddies and these technological kind of wonders like Buddies in Space, but they have no actual like heart or grounding in the relationship that this boy had with this dog who was like a vessel for his grief over the loss of his father and trying to find a new home in a new town and trying to get back to the game that his dad would always play with him with the basketball. And so it's like, yes, you have these real problems and these real grief-driven character moments. And then you have Space Buddies on the other side where it's like, oh no.
Can I interject something here?
Wait, before you do, I want to introduce our next guest. And this is a person that I've been friends with for many years. We've been on each other's podcasts. We've actually met over Twitter. And I know I always say this too, Twitter is not real life, but in real life, I know this person. This is my friend Kelly, who is the host of Where Woman 91. She and I have many similar likes, and we've been. How long have we been friends, Kelly?
I think I want to.
Don't answer that.
Well, I want to say it was like 2015, 2016.
Not today, Fez.
It's been a while. I feel like here's the thing about Jacob. So Jacob and I shared an office at the Daily Wire. It was like a closet-sized office with one other person, so it was just the three of us. And Jacob and I came to the understanding after many conversations that we basically were siblings, but we lived in other states. So we had literally the same exact upbringing. We got all the references from our childhood. We were both pastors' kids. It was insane. And we were like, oh my gosh, I'm basically your long lost sister, Jacob. My actual sister is here for those of you who are confused.
Right.
I don't know that person.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to bring Kelly on. So go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, Sarah. Yeah, you said you wanted to interject with my little rant about Air Buddies.
I did. Well, I thought it was interesting what Jacob said about Bob Iger, and I've never thought about this before, is that he had a formula where they'd make Disney movies. And
wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you again. Sarah, I just saw it. I just saw that you wanted to say something before you had to take off.
Oh no, I just wanted to, I was like waiting for a clean moment. I didn't want to interrupt her. So I apologize.
Yeah.
No, I just have babies to get to bed. So I gotta go do that.
So
but I definitely wanted to, yeah. I wanted to come on and say congrats and happy anniversary. But I gotta tell you, for your next anniversary party, you need some champagne and some little poppers.
I totally agree. And where can people find you, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. It's Sarah Gonzalez TX on all platforms. There's no H in Sarah because it's unnecessary, and it's an S at the end of Gonzalez TX because that's the state I'm living in, and Sarah Gonzalez was already taken.
All right, and thank you once again for coming on, and we'll see you on the news and why it matters.
Yeah, see you guys. Have a great 4th of July holiday.
All right, so Teresa, I promise I'll let you finish your thought.
So what I was going to say is I thought it was interesting that you said back when Bob Iger was running Disney, he'd have this formula where he'd do a theatrical movie like The Little Mermaid or The Lion King or Mulan or Aladdin, and then they'd be very successful, and then he'd just churn out these sequels, and they wouldn't go to the theaters. They would go on direct to video, just churn out these awful low effort sequels to just try to capitalize off of that success. And CJ will be pleased to know, because she was getting offended at those children watching the Air Bud sequels. Me and my brother, we would just watch everything when we were younger. And so we very quickly started to realize, boy, why are these sequels? Because we pick them up because they were related to movies that we liked. And why are these sequels so terrible? And at 9 years old, I was looking up on Wikipedia. We would look these things up, and I'd be like, oh, this isn't like the Disney Animation Studios. This is Toon Disney, and they're turning these things out very cheaply to direct to video just to try to capitalize more on the originals. But that's interesting because that's what Disney's doing now with Star Wars and Marvel.
Yep.
Not so much Marvel until now that we've gone to Disney Plus. I didn't feel like it so much before, but they take something popular and then they just find as much content as they can to spin off of that. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be cheap, that you can just spew it out there in hopes that people who, especially kids who like the original stuff, will come and watch it more and more. And that's interesting that sort of Bob Iger 90s formula and into the 2000s is coming across with Star
It doesn't
Wars.
even have to be popular. Miss Marvel is not a popular comic. It's been canceled several times.
No, but it has the Marvel logo on it, and that's what they're using.
Yeah, I know, but it's still, well, I mean, like I know a lot about Islamic culture, and it's just, this show would not appeal to them in the slightest. So
I remember there was a
target audience
Canadian
for this.
There was a Canadian sitcom. I think it was called Little Mosque on the Prairie, I think is what it was called. Really derivative name. But I think they actually shortened it for reruns, just a Little Mosque. It ran for 2 seasons. And the reason it got canceled was because the Islamic audiences were writing in and saying, this is not our culture. Why are you representing us this way? Which I think is really, I haven't seen Miss Marvel yet, so I haven't even watched Hawkeye yet. And I'm not even embarrassed about it. Kelly will tell you, whenever I missed a Marvel opening day, I would get embarrassed and I would avoid everyone in the office because I didn't want to hear spoilers. Now I don't care. I feel like Marvel made a mistake by not continuing the Avengers. I think if they had just gotten a smaller cast of the newer people, so they got maybe War Machine, Hank Pym, Shuri, I guess, and maybe just a bring the guy who played Howard Stark back to play. There's a character in the comic books called Anton Stark. Well, sometimes he's called Gregory Stark. It depends on the writer because Marvel doesn't care about continuity anymore. But bring him on to play that character and let him be the new Iron Man. I really think they would have done something, but instead they're doing the shotgun effect. And I think there was a famous New York lawyer who said, we're just going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. But that doesn't really work in movies because in this case, the spaghetti can cost hundreds of millions of dollars. So Kelly, I'll let you chime in here since you haven't really got to add anything. What do you think is this going? But wait, before we go, we're going into the second hour. So I promised a secret confession. And I've done my first one, so this is my second one. We're talking about Disney sequels. This is probably the most embarrassing one of the night. I actually think Lion King 1.5 is hilarious. I think it's I just saw a cringe from everyone, but no, it's true. It's true. I actually think it's funny. I think it's a perfect parody of the first movie, and I've only seen it twice, I think, but at both times I laughed hysterically. And I watched it with my sister both times. The second time I made her watch it. The first time because it went straight to DVD, so we rented it from Blockbuster. So for those of you who don't know, Blockbuster was a place where you could go and rent physical copies and bring them home to watch it. And I laughed so hard, my sister got embarrassed, and there was no one else in the room. She literally, the second time, she literally looked at me and said, "You're embarrassing me." And I said, "There's no one else here. How am I embarrassing you?" But that's how insane that was. So, Kelly, I love this. I love this to you as far as, because it's not just happening with Marvel. We're seeing Warner Brothers do this, like Harley Quinn. Where is this going to? Where is this going to? Are we going to keep seeing this regurgitation where original things like we mentioned The Northman, and last year we had Last Night in Soho, which I thought was a really good original horror movie. Where are we going? Are we going to just keep seeing this same thing over and over again?
Well, before I answer the question, I'm going to toss it over to Christian because I think he's got to get going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, before you go, Christian, I asked Faith this. I didn't get to ask Sarah this, but I wanted to ask you. Out of all the takes that you have heard me take, what do you think is my worst take that I have had? It could be about anything. What do you think?
Oh, I'll go to something I really didn't like last night in Soho.
Oh.
It was original. I love the beginning of it, and I completely just got disengaged. So I'm gonna make that as my marker.
All right. Well, where can people find you?
The website is hollywoodintoto.com, and my Twitter handle is @hollywoodintoto.
And thank you so much for coming on.
Sure. Hey, my pleasure. I got tons of stuff here to do, but congratulations. I appreciate the work you do, and you've been very supportive of what I do. So I thank you for that as well.
Bye, Christian.
Bye, guys.
Can I just take a minute, Jacob, and say I have not seen or talked to Christian Toto probably in 4 or 5 years. So that was so exciting when I saw him on. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to him in so long. So, and then I saw you had Faith Moore on. You've had so many great guests. I haven't actually gotten to talk to her either outside of Twitter. So I was like, oh, I hope I can get on before she leaves. So I guess that, first come, first serve, Anyway, so to answer your question, I think the entire industry right now is just based off of milking nostalgia. I mean, look at the Elvis biopic, look at Top Gun, look at all this stuff, and Marvel is just continuing to milk itself until it dies. So I don't think that there is going to be an end anytime soon. The only reason why, I think Top Gun stood out to me just because it is a little bit different. It's not different in that, there was previous characters there that existed. There was a previous kind of setup that existed from before. But the difference for me was that it's not the same thing we've been seeing. It's not woke. It's not superhero oriented necessarily. So I did like how it was kind of different than, it was pro-America. Again, very, very different than what we've been seeing. And then I think another example of something that's kind of different is Dune, because we haven't had a successful version of that franchise ever. And so that's one of the things I've really personally, as a viewer, been looking for things other than Marvel, other than superheroes. I did enjoy the Batman, but aside from that, I feel like Marvel has had its day, unfortunately, and it's going to take something really significant to bring that back. I do think though that unfortunately there is a market for nostalgia. I mean, I'm the biggest consumer of it. Look at the things. I mean, you can't see them, but if you look at the things on my TikTok,
you see a dark Phoenix, I think.
I bought her that. I was so proud.
Teresa got me that for Christmas a couple years ago. But just look at the things that I save on my TikTok. It's all 70s music, 80s music, 80s dance styles, 70s dance styles, 90s dance styles. Everything is nostalgia now, and people, even the way things are marketed these days, it's by using old 70s songs that people recognize from TikTok. Or I walked through Walmart the other day and there's a teenager who thinks she's hot stuff wearing bell-bottom jeans, and I'm like, girl, you look like your grandma. But that's what's cool now, to look like your grandma.
We're bringing up the 80s when you have the giant sweaters and the tights. But I wanted to I said this to Kelly when I went to see Top Gun on the fifth time. I said, what do you say when someone asks you if Top Gun Maverick is good? You say, it's good, sir. It's very good.
I saw
seen the movie, you'll get it.
I saw a really funny meme. And it had the scene. This is not a spoiler. Don't worry if you haven't seen the movie. This is not a spoiler, but there's a callback to the first movie where Miles Teller's character sings Jerry Lewis's song, Great Balls of Fire. And I saw a meme, and that was the picture. And then the caption was, Top Gun Maverick is so unrealistic. And they did the whole thing where they capitalize every other letter. And then it said, no millennial knows Great Balls of Fire. And I just busted out laughing. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but it was pretty hysterical. And I'm curious, I'm going to lob this to CJ. Do you see, because now there's even rumors that Warner Brothers, because they were bought by AT&T. AT&T hated them so much they sold them to Discovery, and Discovery is just walking in and chopping the tree. So now there's a rumor going around that they're going to remake the last season of they're gonna because they had I heard that I have not seen Game of Thrones, but I heard the last 2 seasons are disastrous. But there's a rumor going around that they're gonna make the last 2 seasons that they were all I guess what's his name, the Third-Eyed Crow. They were gonna make it where it was just all a vision that he had, and they're going to just totally rewrite it and redo it and try to get the whole cast back together. Do you think that little because I've also heard the same thing. I think Overlord DVD, his channel talks about this a lot, that Star Wars is going to use the Veil of the Force that was introduced in Star Wars Rebels, which is the Force in temporal form. They're going to use that to reboot the sequel trilogy. Do you think that companies are so desperate to get back fans that they're going to try something like that?
Desperate, yes. Smart, no. So
do you think doing a little time or vision explanation will be enough to pull people back?
Well, when I think of destroyed series or television stuff, I think of Doctor Who, and I've heard somebody like talk about if like retconning the 13th Doctor out of it, and I mean like, yeah, go ahead, do it, you know, yeah, and I think if it's kind of I don't know, like one of the series I grew up with kind of was How I Met Your Mother, and I know that at the finale there's this huge like pre-angry, vitriolly angry Twitter era, like clapback for the whole what's her face and what's his face Ted thing, and the mom was only in it for like 1 episode and stuff, and
technically 2.
Yeah, so like they for the DVD version they have the series ending that they aired, and then they have the alternative one where they don't go into the whole oh you want to date Robin stuff, and so it's kind of like a pick your own adventure at this point, and that's why I get like Marvel's just like I was ranting about Space Buddies, and it's like the same thing is happening with Marvel. So like I mean like we started off with Iron Man, and Iron Man is going to stop the people who stole his weapons, and they're terrorizing Middle Eastern company or communities with their weapons, and they're just violent ideologies, and you know bringing peace to the world. And now we have Doctor Strange is trying to stop Wanda from jumping into the multiverse to get children that may or may not be real, and and it's become it's like Space Buddies. It's the Space Buddies syndrome.
We'll just call that Disney's strategy, Space Buddies.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Space Buddies, I'm letting everyone know, if you were just watching, we are doing the StudioJake 10th anniversary live stream. I, of course, am the host of StudioJake. While my YouTube channel has not been around for as long, it's only been around for like 6 years. I have been doing StudioJake Media since 2012, so this is my 10th anniversary. My first blog post when it was still a blog went out on this day. I actually published 5 articles in one day because I had read, I think on Yahoo, that is what smart bloggers do, is the first day they publish multiple articles. So I did. My very first movie review was, in fact, fun fact about this, my first movie review was Batman Year One, the animated version, which is an adaptation of the Frank Miller comic book, which the comic book is better than the movie, but I think the movie is underrated. I take flack for that all the time, because I actually think it's a pretty good film. I like Bryan Cranston as Commissioner Gordon. So and the animation is fantastic. It's actually way better than the trailer that I just saw for this new Super Sons movie, which looks like it's a an early 2000s video game instead of a movie. So we'll bring it back. Now, I'm curious, if Hollywood was the way it was, say, in the 90s and the early 2000s or the 2010s, wherever you want to put the woke or politically correct line, I always say 2012. I really feel like that was when Hollywood changed. That's where you could really see the like, they always hit it, but to me it was more loud around 2012. But if I could have I'm curious if there was a book series. Now, CJ is a writer, and CJ, within the rules, you can pitch your own stuff, but otherwise, is there a book series that you would like to see adapted? I know for me, I would love to see the Daystar Voyages. It was a 10-book novella series primarily aimed at younger readers by Gilbert Morris. He is primarily known for doing Christian fiction. He does a lot of really great stuff. Like he also did a series called the Seven Sleepers series for young adults. I can't speak to his works for grownups, but when I was a kid, I absorbed his YA stuff. And Daystar Voyages, I really loved it because it felt like a Star Trek, but the main characters were like close to my age, as opposed to, they're all adults and whatnot. So I would love to see a film adaptation of that if we weren't in woke Hollywood right now, if we were in like Hollywood that actually cared about its characters. Kelly, what about you? What would be a book series you would like to see, or comic book that you would like to see adapted into a movie or a TV series?
I actually have an answer to that right off the bat, just because I'm reading the Red Queen series right now, and I'm on King's Cage, which is the third one. I would like to see that as either a TV series or a movie series. I'm a little bit. It kind of goes back and forth. I would like to see it because I like the story. I don't think it's like groundbreaking. I think a lot of it kind of pulls from things like Hunger Games and previously made franchises. However, it does have it. I guess it's appealing to me just because it is kind of a civil war and those tropes do sell. The issue that I have with the series, though, is that the third book is dedicated to Hillary Rodham Clinton, and so I'm not sure that the writer is somebody that I would identify with, but that would be a series that I'd be interested in that hasn't been done on screen as of yet. They were going to have, I think, a TV series about it, and then COVID hit, and so everything, exploded, and now they might be doing something or they might not. We don't know. So that would be a franchise that's different, but not really, that I would be interested in seeing. But as far as comic books go, quite frankly, Jacob, you're the one who supplies me with most of my comics. I will say this: Jacob got me my very first Batman comic that I've ever gotten in my entire life, and I can't remember the name of it, but the storyline was basically kind of it was two different storylines side by side. One was a Bruce Wayne storyline and how he kind of comes into his kind of physical abilities that he has, his fighting skills and whatnot, and the other side was another storyline with the Justice League, and the two storylines kind of follow each other until they almost mirror each other, nearly shot for shot at the end. They're two separate stories, but they're interconnected.
Batman Superpower.
Yeah. So I think that one I was wildly entertained by that. I thought it was a really clever way of telling a story, having two different stories going that are interconnected, but they never actually meet. They just come to an end separately, but they make sense together. It was very, very clever and creative. So that would be a comic book that I really, really liked. And I have to make a confession. This is on the air. No one has heard this before. And I hope I never hear never hear it again. But this is a big confession just for Jacob's live stream. I told my boss today that Tom Cruise actually owns the F-14 that he flies at the end of Top Gun 2, which I think is true, but it might not be. And now I'm questioning my sources, and I'm really nervous. I hope I'm not wrong, and I hope I didn't lie to him. So that's my big confession on this big live stream for Jacob.
Well, Tom Cruise has throwaway money, so it actually wouldn't surprise me. So I'm tossing it to you, CJ. What's a book series that you would like to see adapted into a film or television series?
So I have my kids actually. We read the entire My Little House on the Prairie books, and they started watching some of the show, and they really like it, and I love it too because it's stuff like you can watch as a parent and get something out of it, and it's stuff that they can watch as kids and get something out of it. And so I'm a big history person too. So I really like there's this book series called My Name is America. And it's like a diary kind of book series about historical people in history. And I think somebody actually did something of an update to it lately because there's my son started reading the Nathan Hale series, which is like this comic graphic kid book about different things in American history. And he's really into like military stuff right now. So I think that series would be good because you could do one episode at a time. It's not like to like match it up with one book. You could have some that overlap just because of the different time periods where it's set in. And I think it like I think today overall, I tweeted this out earlier because my Twitter wisdom is that we live in an age of superheroes where everybody's super in their own special way and there's nobody's really allowed to be a hero. And I think like bringing that kind of appeal to the past is okay, but to the present, it's a lot more difficult because you're still working out stuff in the present time. Like they did this kind of with the Man of Steel stuff and Batman versus Superman stuff, where it's like one person's patriot is another person's terrorist, and it's like that's not true. One person's Jedi is not a person, another person's Sith. You know, it's but yeah. So My Name is America. I'd like that, and probably after that, on the science fiction fantasy side of things, I really like this series called the Firebird trilogy. It's kind of girly, but it's set in the future or an alternate past, and it's kind of like an allegory for the Old Testament, where we meet her name's Firebird, and she's kind of like a Ruth like figure in the line of David and stuff, and of that time's David and the coming savior and stuff. It's really cute. I like it. So
Cool.
those would probably be my two picks.
All right. Teresa, throwing it to you. What would be a book or series you would like to see adapted into a TV show or movie?
So I'm not thinking of a series right now in books, but a book I've wanted to see on screen for a very long time, and I think if they got it right, it would really be amazing. I would want to see The Horse and His Boy adapted because that's never been done before. That was my favorite Narnia story. I don't think Disney was the right company to handle Narnia, and they've rammed it into the ground. And now the rights are apparently in this weird sort of limbo, so they're not really sure who can do anything more with Narnia. But I would love to see, like, I think Warner Brothers, because they were involved with The Lord of the Rings, I know that was like 20 years ago now, but that would be more of a company that I could see pulling off like The Horse and His Boy. It would be difficult because there's very thick Christian themes in that book, and I think they'd be really squeamish about it, or maybe not. Maybe they would adapt the themes and just not understand them, or think they meant something different. But like I would want to see The Horse and His Boy adapted, and one of these days. For comics, I said when you came on my live stream, I want to see the Harleen graphic novel adapted. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that with this new Joaquin Phoenix Lady Gaga movie they've got going on. But I feel better about that, knowing that we are apparently also getting a version of those characters in the new Arkham Asylum show that's coming on HBO. And so I'm hoping that that'll be more traditional. But so those are the two things I would say.
You know, and it's really interesting because, you know, we're seeing this where, you know, it's everyone says Hollywood is out of ideas. And so they're just revamping things. And, you know, I think the issue with Narnia is exactly what you were saying with the themes, because, you know, I watched this really interesting Johnny Depp movie that came out like right before the scandal with the actress that plays Mira went crazy, and it was called Waiting for the Barbarians. And it's a movie that is very, I've talked about it before, it's very anti-colonial in a sense, but however, the movie also just accidentally reveals the truth of government overreach, because it's this whole thing where this guy, he's like the leader of this fort that's on the border of a desert where barbarians live, and this evil general who's played by Johnny Depp, and then Robert Pattinson plays his lackey. The leader of the fort is played by Mark Rylance, who's a brilliant, underrated actor. I just think he's really good. And they come in, and the first thing they do is they take all the citizens' weapons, and then they just take over the fort, because it's like one of these forts where the military kind of lives harmoniously with just the everyday citizens. It's one of those kinds, because they're out in the desert. Well, because the army is there. They overtake, and then they start spreading propaganda. The leader of the fort, he tries to fight back, and so then they humiliate him and accuse him of spreading fake news. And it's all this really. I was like, I said, I get this movie was trying to be very very progressive, even though we know that it's actually regressive. But accidentally, they showed the dangers of government overreach and why citizens should be armed and not surrender their weapons, and how the government can just take over on a dime once and slowly start take away your rights. It was a very interesting movie, and I actually got into an argument with someone on a certain social media app, and they were like debating me because they had seen the movie, and I kept saying,
Jacob,
"Listen,
you got in an argument with somebody? That never happened."
Yeah, believe it or not, it was not a Zack Snyder fan. But yeah, it was really funny. I kept bringing it. I said, I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I'm saying accidentally they do this, and I really think it's like you were saying about how they would duplicate the themes but not understand them. And we saw that there's a really great Netflix. I know that's kind of weird to say, but there's a good Netflix sci-fi movie called I Am Mother, about this robot who's raising the first human child, or so they think, since this apocalyptic thing happened to humanity. And there's a scene where you walk into this lab and there's all of these embryos, and like they make it clear that these are humans, that this is humanity. And I just think I'm just bringing that up because of the recent Roe versus Wade being overturned. But I really think that sometimes Hollywood, in their they accidentally revealed the truth, in some of these movies. So we've kind of hit on the industry in general. We've hit on Marvel. We've hit on Warner Brothers a little bit, and I'm curious, what do you think the next victim is going to be? Because we've seen Marvel, DC, we've seen Tolkien, we've seen King Arthur, we've seen He-Man, Doctor Who, all these great franchises that have a community of fans that love them. We've seen them be affected. I think the next target is going to be C.S. Lewis, but I'm curious what y'all think. So I'll go to Jester Bell first. What do you think the next target is?
I was thinking in my head as you were talking, I was thinking, well, what is there left that they haven't touched? And then I immediately thought, oh, Back to the Future. They're going to go after Back to the Future. They haven't done that one yet. They haven't destroyed it with a bad remake. There was rumors that they wanted to do a remake with like Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr., which would be an utter embarrassment.
I love Robert Downey Jr., but
but that would be horrible still. I'm like, no, don't go to Back to the Future. I think there's a few sacred cows in Hollywood that they understand that you can't touch, like The Princess Bride.
I was going to say Princess Bride.
They were going to remake that movie, and the world united and said no, and they didn't. It was really amazing. So
give it time, though. Give it time. I was teaching in 2014, and I had one person in my literature class tell me that was a bad movie because it was full of white people.
Back to the Future?
No, The Princess Bride.
Oh.
And I'm sitting here, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, what? What?
All right. So we have Back to the Future. We have Princess Bride. I say C.S. Lewis. Kelly, what do you think?
I mean, I go into the theater with an underlying fear these days that they're going to wreck something. So even if it's, and I apologize, I'm having a really bad hair day.
Why do you think I have the avatar on, huh?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like, so like Dune. I was thinking of Dune as a good example of really like the first movie, but we only got, a little over a half of the book. We've got another, just about a half of the book left for the second movie. And my fear is that they add some sort of woke spin, or they amp up the woke spin. I know it's kind of a left-leaning series to begin with, but I'm just worried that every time I go into the theater, I'm worried that they're going to do something weird. I'm worried about the, for lack of a better way of saying it, I'm worried about the lesbian kiss in Buzz Lightyear. Like I'm worried about them just dropping something in that makes it so unpalatable that I don't like it anymore. That it's just like, oh, I'm going to stick it in the eye of the audience, or oh, we know that you don't approve of this, so we're sticking it in there, or whatever it happens to be. It's just really, I think anything is up for grabs, basically. So it's not so much that I think that they're going to go to the next franchise, which they might. I think it's that anything is up for grabs. Anything that they see is successful, was previously successful, that they like made money off in the past, they're bringing it back for the nostalgia market. And then, inserting, we already have a guarantee people are going to come see this because it was a previous franchise. So they have that, and then they can insert whatever agenda they want to insert in there. It's one of the reasons why, I'm not necessarily on this bandwagon of boycott Disney like a lot of other people are. However, when you continue to put stuff in your shows and in your movies that I don't want to see, I'm not going to go watch them anymore. For example, I didn't watch Obi-Wan. I watched the first 3 episodes. And I said, you know what? This is making me more upset than it's actually giving me any enjoyment. I'm not going to watch it anymore. And that's just kind of how I feel with every franchise now. I'm going to give it a chance because, yes, it does have, the logo of the brand that I like on it, but I'm not going to continue to waste my time on it or continue to make myself upset about it just because it has the logo on it. Like, once you start messing with my characters, deconstructing what was good, what I liked about the show, or adding in an agenda, I'm not going to come back to it anymore. And this isn't me boycotting. This is just me picking and choosing what I like as a consumer. And I think that that's where a lot of conservatives, I know I'm bringing politics into it, but
I'm going to follow up on this with a good one.
Okay, well, this is where a lot of conservatives go wrong, because it's all about kind of this rage and this anger of, oh, we need to boycott this, we need to boycott that, we need to make our own this, we need to make our own that. In some cases, sure. But I think that just being a consumer and picking and choosing what you like and what you don't like, and being conscious of, hey, I really actually don't like this. In the case of Obi-Wan, I really don't like this show. I'm not going to watch it anymore, and just leave it at that. I'm not boycotting Disney. I'm telling Disney, I didn't like that show. Give me something else.
And I agree with that to some extent. I do think at some point some companies get so far gone, it's just not worth it. Just not even worth it to shock it back to reality. But I do see, like me, I'm not going to buy any more DC comic stuff going forward, especially after that one of these Batman writers that they hired did a self-insert where they made Batman have like an Antifa mentality, and it was just so dumb. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to buy. I'm going to finish up the series that I have because I'm getting pulls from certain miniseries, but after that I'm done. But I was with you before because Batman 3 Jokers, which I loved, I bought 2 copies of every issues because it was 3 comics, 3 Jokers, 3 comics. And then I also bought the graphic novel because I want to let them know this is the content I want. And speaking of content we want, we've got a Getter official here. Her name is Kinsley Cortez. She is a friend of mine. She's been on the show before. She has been really helpful in getting me set up on Getter, which I'm also live streaming. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, and streaming live directly to Getter. So I want to welcome her to the stream. Kinsley, welcome to the 10th anniversary StudioJake live stream.
Hello, great to be with you. Congrats, 10 years. That's awesome.
And once again, I want to thank you for coming on. And what we're talking about right now is we were discussing what IP that Hollywood is going to try to take over next. I said C.S. Lewis. We've dropped a couple of other hints because they've done Doctor Who, Star Trek. So I'm not sure if you're a big pop culture enthusiast, but I am curious. Do you have an opinion on what the next? Someone said Back to the Future and The Princess Bride, Pixar, which we're already seeing happen. I'm curious. Do you have an opinion on the next franchise they're going to come after, or book series, or whatever?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like it's kind of become a trend to do a lot of remakes. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of original storylines anymore when I go to movie theaters or just check out what's on Netflix. And unfortunately, when they're remaking all this stuff, they are making it woke, right? I know for me personally, I'm very excited to see Elvis. I just bought tickets for tomorrow. My family's from Tennessee, been to Graceland, all of that stuff. So really looking forward to it, but I am worried. I heard someone say earlier when I was in the waiting room that you kind of go to a movie theater now with apprehension that they're going to ruin your favorite story. And I'm really scared they'll do that to Elvis.
We both saw, me and Kelly, Warrior Woman 91, both saw Elvis, and it's actually really good.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So we both enjoyed it. So that's
now, CJ, you said you had a follow-up you wanted to add. I wanted to give you a chance to do that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna say something controversial here, okay? So like you were talking earlier about like boycotts don't really work, or they're kind of goofy or whatever. I don't know. I agree with that. Like, don't go see something you don't want to go. If you want to go see it, you know? And I agree with that 100%. But like, even the stuff that, like, I create my own stuff, and that's like part of the reason that I'm amused by like everything. It's like, oh, I've got plenty of original stuff. Oh, I can write stuff. Like, I'm actually working on a comic. I'm gonna send you part of the script later. And it's like, but like today I saw the advertisement for the Daily Wire Plus thing, and all I could think of was, oh my gosh, here we go. They've reached the top of the mountain. Here comes the snowball. And their first show is about Dave Rubin and the gay parenting mess. And it's like, I was a research professor for a while. I read the stats on this. This is not going to be a good conversation, I don't think. And, you know, it is just like, I think conservatives should be aware of, hey, this is not actually conservative.
Yeah, I see your point. And to another point, we have another movie critic actually, who's in the waiting room right now. I want to give him a chance to jump on because I don't think he has a lot of time. So I want him to be able to come on the show. Please welcome the antisocial critic, Tyler Mall. Welcome, Tyler.
Inshallah, heavy beast.
And I want to thank you for coming on to the 10-year anniversary live stream. I would like to say Tyler is an awesome guy. But we've both been on each other's I call it a vidcast. He calls it his YouTube channel. We've talked about different things. It's really funny that he and we have such a good rapport because we have different opinions, which CJ might be more in line with Tyler on this. On the classics, I tend to be less enthusiastic about classic things than CJ and Tyler is.
Well, like, so if Kelly's like your fake sister, he's like your fake brother that you fight with.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, I'm curious. We're talking about franchises that you think Hollywood is going to go after next. What do you think is the next? What do you think is their next target? Because we've seen them go after so many. I won't rehash what everyone has said, but I said C.S. Lewis. I think he's right now. Kelly pointed out the rights are kind of in limbo right now when it comes to the media adaptations of C.S. Lewis. But I'm curious, what do you think is going to be the next franchise that Hollywood is going to try to go after? Oh, and by the way, Tyler has been monitoring this woke stuff since the CGI remake of Beowulf. So, just so you know, he's been monitoring it like when it was just politically correct. Like we didn't use the term woke. He was monitoring it since that film. So I want to give him credit for that.
I wouldn't say I've been monitoring for wokeness since I was 12, although I will happily accept that trophy.
I just meant you've gone that far in film history, is what I mean.
Well, I mean, when I did that essay, it was back in 2019, I think I did that essay. Essentially, it was just to kind of track the prototypical ideas that would become wokeness in modern film. I mean, the seeds were all there decades ago. I mean, they were there as early as the 1970s, and it just kind of grew into what it naturally grew into, but being what it was. But to your question, it's actually a really good question. I haven't put much thought into what franchises they could make woke next, but my assumption would be that they'd have to dredge up something that's that hasn't been done yet. I mean, nowadays it feels like everything has been given the nostalgia treatment. So it's like, okay, they did it to Star Wars, they did it to Star Trek, they did it to Marvel. Those are the big three at the moment. I had to go back to like the franchises of the early 2000s or the 1990s and see what they could possibly do, because obviously like Matrix Resurrections did that. Maybe Pirates of the Caribbean 6 will be that way. Like it's an interesting thought. As to like something like C.S. Lewis, frankly, I don't think they're ever going to bother to make another C.S. Lewis movie, so I kind of think that's off the table. But it's an interesting idea. If I had to make a guess, though, I'd say it's probably just going to be another nostalgia revival property, kind of along the lines of something like Lightyear or Top Gun Maverick, kind of that kind of thing, where you just bring back something that hasn't been done in a while. Maybe Clerks 3 will be the big woke thing for the next year. Who knows?
Well, I heard that Jay and Silent Bob reboot was pretty much along that line. So you're probably right. Now, I am curious. I want to hear from everyone on this for this question, and we'll start with Tyler, since he doesn't have as much time. But I want to be respectful of it. What is sort of where you go to find alternative, like if you're thinking, oh, I wanted to see a sci-fi movie that's coming out, but I heard it's woke, so I'll just read this book or watch this movie. Where does a source you go to find alternative content?
I don't know if there's a source specifically, but I tend to just go back to the classic names. I mean, I just read Starship Troopers a couple months back, and that was really, really great. But everyone who reads science fiction probably knows about Heinlein as an author. Like, I think, if anything, I think that in response to everything that's happening, we kind of need to make like an anti-woke canon. Like, I know Razorfist just did a video on why people should start watching Westerns, and there's tons of video essays online about like trying to get young people into Lovecraft and all that stuff. I don't know if there's a specific place I would go, but I think that there should be some sort of an effort to try to create like an alternative catalog of easily accessible stuff online. It's a little easier, but I just kind of go by reputation in terms of the big names, because for the most part, if you go past like earlier than like 2000, earlier than 1990, you're not going to get a ton of super woke stuff. You'll get a bunch of really liberal literature, of course, lots of stuff that's moderately transgressive, but nothing as aggressive as we see today. Like, even the relatively liberal stuff 20 years ago is relatively tame now.
Well, like, even if you rewatch like Legally Blonde, like she's talking about, like in her first case, about like sperm ownership, and I'm just sitting there cringing because I'm like, how did I ever think this was a good movie?
Well, it's interesting, because I was talking about this with someone with I can't remember I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking about the new Star Trek, what a lot of people call New Trek, and how it's so woke. They're editing in that event that happened in January a couple of years ago into the episode, and you go from something that was maybe just a little moderately liberal to something that is woke. And now I'm going to lob the question to Kinsley. Where is a place you like to go if you're looking for alternate means of entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to the classics. When I was little, my parents just straight up said, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. They said no Disney in our house, because Disney had just kind of begun to get woke. So they bought us all of the old, DVDs of Gilligan's Island, and Brady Bunch, shows like that. So I grew up watching those. So I'm thankful to my parents for just saying, no Disney. We're not going to do any of that garbage in our house, in terms of like Disney Channel and stuff like that. But I will say I kind of differ from a lot of you in that I come from more of a news politics background, and I am obsessed with Substacks. Like, that's my new favorite medium to read. It's just so fun because it's not, something that's been approved by an editor and checked. And, kind of just tailored in a way that's corporate. It feels really authentic and really real. So I love reading people's Substacks on all different kinds of topics. I think it's a really cool way to find something that's not necessarily mainstream and just really well thought out.
Well, you know what's funny is now fan fiction is starting to get on Substack because it started out. I'm curious how that medium is going to work out there because before it was regulated to Wattpad, Archive of Our Own, fanfiction.net, but now I've noticed that people aren't bothering to flag fan fiction anymore on these other places. Like a buddy of mine sent me a link to this is kind of an anime cut, but there's a character in My Hero Academia. He's the protagonist, Deku, and so someone did a fan fiction called "What If Deku Became Batman?" And it was actually really well thought out. I didn't like who they chose as the main villain, but it was actually a pretty well thought out story. But it was on YouTube, and normally that would get flagged instantly because some Warner Brothers stan would instantly say, "Hey, you can't do that. That's this." But now I'm seeing it everywhere, and so people were saying people are starting to post their anti-woke fan fiction on Substack, which I think is hilarious. So I'm lobbing it to Kelly. Kelly, where do you go for alternative? I'm going in order of the boxes, just so everyone knows. So Kelly, where do you go for alternative content?
Well, that actually makes me really excited because I love fan fiction. There is some fan fiction out there that is better than anything I've seen in the movies. There's some very specific fan fiction I can think of. If somebody took season 1 of Agent Carter and just took the first 3 episodes and then deviated completely and wrote this incredible story that was, I was riveted. Like I read the whole thing in one night and it was like 6 sections long, and it was so good. So I just want everyone to know that fan fiction is amazing if you can find the good stuff, not the porny stuff and all that, but if you can find the good stuff. There are some really amazing writers out there that are not being paid to do it, that are just putting it out for free on the internet for you to consume. So find it and enjoy it. What was the question, Jake?
Where do you go for alternative content?
Alternative content. I mean,
or just content that you like, that you can get away from the mainstream stuff.
Honestly, I'm on TikTok so much. I find, because I love dancing and I love music, and so that's why I'm on TikTok. And I've found some of the best musicians that are just putting, again, it's like the fan fiction writers, but they're professional musicians, or they're musicians who are making up their own songs or making up their own soundtracks for things, and they put them up on TikTok, and I get to hear them for free. It's amazing. And I hear a lot of complaints about the TikTok algorithm and how it's addictive and how it serves you up, exactly what you want, and it just feeds you all these things that you may not, just to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. I mean, it's kind of like, I know that it does that, and I try to use that to my advantage. I'm able to find exactly what I'm looking for on TikTok in a way that I can't do that on a lot of other platforms. So, I mean, you just, honestly, you have to be an adult about TikTok. You have to realize, oh, I've been on here 45 minutes. I probably should get off now. But so, I mean, I spend a lot of time on TikTok for finding alternative content, for finding different, kinds of music that I like, or finding different little tidbits of movie things. Or I don't do politics on TikTok, or I try not to. I did post something about Roe on TikTok and I regretted it instantly because of the comments. But I'm a huge TikTok user, and you can find a lot of great content on there and a lot of great creators on there as well. So that would be where I go for, I guess it's not alternative content, but it's still, because it's new, it feels still pretty like indie, and a lot of the creators on TikTok are independent, are not, they're not putting out content that a franchise is paying them to do. They're making their own content, and they're, TikTok is paying them, they're making money through TikTok like a YouTuber would. So I really just enjoy the platform. It's a lot of creativity and a lot of people who are really just making this stuff out of their houses and out of their basements. And I really enjoy that.
And so now I'm going to lob it to Teresa. Where's a place you like to go to for content?
I always go back to the old stuff, and like there are a lot of classic films that I was never exposed to when I was younger. For example, during 2020, I watched the entire Alien franchise. I went back to the Terminator franchise, like when I was like 2019. Back to the Future. I actually did not grow up with that movie series, but I discovered Back to the Future. I enjoyed that. Misery, a horror movie, Scream, the very first one. Like I could go back to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, of that movie of all things. Like all these
I love that
classic
movie.
films, all these classic films that I've never seen before, and I watched so many good ones. I actually, because of how successful last year was in terms of how many, like I pick out a movie and just find something great that I had never seen before. This year, I actually have documented a list of all the original movies I've watched. I watched Edward Scissorhands for the first time ever. So go back to the old stuff, and the old stuff will, for me as a filmmaker, it teaches me, like, oh, this is how a good movie is made, and this is what Hollywood used to be like with so many of their films. I'm like, but that's not because there's horrible movies that came out in the past, of course. There always are, but it's like, how come in the past you would have so much more hits than misses? And right, it seems like it's been mostly hits for the past few years. Even though this year I'm the blind optimist. Like the franchise films are going down like Marvel, but the other films seem to be going up a little bit more. It's going to take a while to change, but I do see change coming. And some people think I'm crazy to say that, but I think that there's a shift coming.
So, all right, and CJ, which you can cheat a little bit because you're a writer. You've published novels. So I'm curious, though, where do you like to go for alternative content just for yourself?
Okay.
Oh wait,
so,
CJ, before you comment,
Oh, that's okay.
Teresa, I just saw your note. You have to take off.
Yeah. So I wondered if you wanted to ask me the final question.
Okay, yes. The final question I'm asking all my guests is what do you think is my worst take? What is the worst take you have ever heard me give? It could be about anything.
Well, can I give two of them? Really?
Sure.
So you have two takes that before I met you in person, I was really like, when you read something on the internet, you're like, what? How can that be? So your two horrible takes are, number one, you think that Logan is a bad movie. And you even argued that it was woke, and then I started to fight you on Twitter and like get out my lightsaber, and we haven't settled it yet. Your other horrible take is that you also think The Killing Joke is an overrated graphic novel. And I know that a lot of people are saying that. I disagree with it. I think even Alan Moore hates his own work, but Alan Moore is insane. But
yeah, he worships a snake, so I don't really care what you think.
Well, that's why the book was so weird. I still think that there's value in it. I realized I didn't give a confession. So my little confession will be, something happened to me last week that has never happened to me before. I was blocked by a major Twitter site / corporation. I don't know what you can call it. It was Discussing Film. Discussing Film is like very prominent on Twitter. It's like, it's probably the best and the main Twitter, specifically Twitter oriented website where you can get movie and TV information just like that. So I followed it. So they started screaming when Roe versus Wade was overturned, screaming, well, here's where we will not be silent. Here's where you can get abortions, thread. And they turned off their comments. So I quote tweeted them and I said, you're discussing film. Shouldn't you be talking about films instead of killing babies? And they blocked me. and now I can't go. Now people are still constantly using Discussing Film to bring up movie news. I'm like, well, I can't read them because they put me in the doghouse because I called them out. And I'm like, I only have like 300 followers. They must really, I just imagine, I would like to think that there was like someone behind the scenes just crying and sobbing about that whole thing who just saw my comment and lost their mind. But that's my confession. I've never had that happen before. It's just they couldn't handle it. But
well, I'm blocked by Arc Digital for calling their ridiculous take on cuties. So it happens to all of us. But so where can people find you, Teresa?
You can find me on at Teresa Campagna. I put it in the chat if you can go back through. But at Teresa Campagna on Twitter, or find my channel Jester Bell on YouTube. And my last short film alone has almost got 500 views, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is for me because I don't signal boost. my videos, and I found these days like, oh, all these people who I feel sad about who have all these views, I go on their Twitter site and they're like, I gotta signal boost this, I gotta signal boost that. So that's what people are doing now. So go check me out on Jesterbell, and then thank you, Jacob, for letting me on.
And thank you.
Congratulations on 10 years.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for coming on.
Nice meeting you.
All right, so CJ, back to you. What are some places you go to find entertainment?
So I like YouTube for like everyday stuff, you know, just my feed pretty much knows what I like. It's like TikTok in that way. But like when it comes to like I can, the nice thing about being, like I said, like my own stuff and everything is like I don't care if it doesn't, I don't write to market, because these are things that like I want to pass on to my kids one day. Like, and they talk about like write what you know, and apparently like what I know is that like I fear like I'm going to be a bad parent or I'm going to die before my kids grow up. Thanks, Disney, right? But so when I think about my art and what I want to leave behind in the world is I want to leave something of myself and something beautiful, something true, something good, something thought-provoking and funny if I can. And I mean, like some people would read some of my stuff and be like, why did you write this? But I mean, like, so what I have been doing with my kids is we've been learning the piano here. So we've been going over a lot of hymns because I love my church, but I cannot make it to the hymnal service in the mornings because my Sunday school class is beforehand. So, and I'm a church nerd, I'm a Bible nerd, and I don't care. I love it. I love the hymns, I love the organ, I love the music. And so I usually like what I've been like, so I've been gearing up to write a couple of more Christianish anyway, series where regular Christians might find them palpable. I keep going back to the hymns right now. So great is thy faithfulness is a good one. Be thou my vision, how great thou art. I love like music videos with these things. I like the tunes. I like the like Kelly was saying about how people go in and make it their own. I like that kind of and I mean, I know it's music, it's not writing or videos all the time, but it's just nice, good things to think that are deep and something that's lasted a long time. I think that has a lot, like Kelly was saying, or not Kelly, Teresa was saying earlier about how like older films have stood the test of time despite their limitations sometimes. I think that's what I would want. I'm trying to reach back into the past, filter it through my present, and make something new for my children to carry on for me. And that's not art, it's not business, it's legacy. And that's where I have such a big problem with Disney destroying its own legacy for political points, for the Daily Wire doing these very simple poor woman in distress meets weaponry bad guy stuff. That's fine, you know, I mean, good, yay, it's not woke, but it's also kind of easy, you know. And you know, it's just kind of like it's like low-hanging fruit. Good job. And I mean, so my big hot take on you, Jake, by the way, is that you're too nice. So go ahead and be mean. So go ahead and tear this film a new one. I don't care. So
well, I do what I can.
Yeah.
By the way, my favorite of CJ's novels is it's a book called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I promise.
No, that's where the title inspiration.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's One Flew Over.
No, One Flew Through the Dragon Heart.
One Flew Through the Dragon. What am I saying? That was the movie. That One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is the movie with Jack Nicholson. Sorry, that was mixed up. But
yeah, well, we're talking films.
So Dragonheart is my favorite of CJ's novels, and it may or may not have to do with there's a character who's named similar to me. So I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, now I want to bring it back to Tyler for a second.
Yes.
Because one thing I would like to get all your opinion on, because we have this really great panel, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that. What is something that, because I think we're all millennials here, aren't we? I think we're all millennials. what is something that, or a movie or a book that you think millennials and Gen Z should pick up? And like I said, it can be a movie, like Kingsley mentioned Gilligan's Island, so it can even be a TV show. What is something that you think that a millennial should read? Me personally, I think every millennial, every person should be required to read the Screw Tape Letters. It's such an amazing story about temptation and God's redemption, despite increased. And once again, C.S. Lewis. I really think that that is such an amazing book. I tend to take as a writer, and CJ may disagree with me on this. I tend to think of writing more as a craft than an art. But I will say I make an exception for the Screw Tape Letters. I think that book is a work of art. I just think that it is such an amazing book because it's from the perspective of evil, and then seeing evil get stopped by the power of God from evil's perspective is just such an original way to write a story. It's fantastic. So highly recommend that. I think it should be required reading just as soon as as a millennial is able, or Gen Z or the next generation, as soon as they are able to read, they should immediately be forced to read the Screw Tape Letters. If I was the dictator of the world, but I'm not, unfortunately. So
Just thank you for
Tyler.
not saying Atlas Shrugged. Okay.
Oh, yes, but yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Tyler, what about you? I'm tossing you. What's a book or a movie or whatever that you think that it could be fiction or nonfiction? It doesn't matter. What that you think that our generation should know about and should read.
It's a good question. And usually when I have a question like that, I have to default to the classics, just because I feel like there's a general underrepresentation of those in modern education. Where, 100 years ago you got educated, you graduated high school knowing Greek and Latin, and you'd read every major work of major rhetorical and philosophical import there was. So if I had to pick a book that kind of summarized all of that, I'd either say you need to read Homer's Iliad or Dante's Inferno, just because
I love the Inferno.
Just because, well, maybe the Inferno is preferable, just because it contains like the entirety of the Western canon in its background. Just like every single story is thematically alluded to. Every kind of idea is like brought up in some way tangentially. It's like it's the entire understanding of the West's own story just boiled into the story of Christian pilgrimage. Like, if I had to summarize like what it is you're supposed to get out of education, that's the best way. Shy of that, I'd say something like I said, the Iliad, which is, it's part of that same tradition that the Inferno is, but it's also a little bit more accessible in some ways, just because it's a war story. It's longer, but it's also something I could reasonably hand to a high schooler and they might read it. So if I had to just default, I'd say, yeah, go big or go home.
And I absolutely agree with that. I actually read an illustrated version of Dante's Inferno when I was a teenager, but they illustrated it with classic artwork that was inspired by Dante's Inferno, and that was. I wish I had gotten it from a library, and I wish I had remembered what it was. I could probably find it on Amazon now, but it was an amazing book, because it's just like every page they would have like a work of art that was described by that particular section of the story, which was incredible. So Kingsley, what about you? Is there a movie or a book that you think that that everyone should read that would help humanity?
Yeah, no, I've got to say I love the Iliad answer. In college, I was a classical studies minor, so love that answer. That's phenomenal. Not enough kids read the classics. They definitely should. I would go, a little bit more modern than the classics. I would say the Chronicles of Narnia. That was something that I loved when I was a kid, and I just recently, now that I'm, an adult, read them. We rewatched all the movies. And it's fascinating how enjoyable they are as an adult, too. There's so much that you pick up on, so many lessons of just morality and faith that you didn't necessarily even notice were hinted at when you were a kid. So I would definitely say that. I think it's just a phenomenal story of, faith and belief and in family and in heroism and sacrifice. It's just an incredible story that kind of, I think, encapsulates all of the best elements of humanity and also our pitfalls and the dangers that we can fall into when we stray down the wrong path. So I would definitely say the Chronicles of Narnia movie and book would be my answer.
All right.
Have you ever
and-
seen? Oh, have you ever
Okay.
read his space trilogy? Lewis's space trilogy.
I have, yes.
I
have
like
it
that
on
one
my
better.
bookshelf. It's right there.
I like
well,
that one better. So the Narnia.
That's cool.
Ghost.
CJ, what
Yeah.
about you? What do you think would be one that you would recommend to someone?
I really like, if I had to pick just one book, I would probably pick this is hard because I was an English teacher, okay? So my pick would probably be for today, Animal Farm, because it's like part fairy tale, part satire, part history. And it really, despite not having any real human characters in it other than the farmer, it manages again to kind of mirror humanity's different traits and how like easily manipulated people are, I think. And that's important, I think, for, like, I was teaching it, so I think it's important for people to realize how, even if they're not really being manipulated, they probably are. So good stuff.
And Kelly, what about you?
I was going to suggest, because The Wizard of Oz is a classic, and I have to say it was the first book that, I don't know, for all of you who love to read, there, when you get one of those books that's like you start it and you can't stop it. You can't stop it. I was about 9 years old, and The Wizard of Oz was the first book that I could not stop. I read the first 3 chapters in like a school book, and I was like, I need to know what happens next. It's very important to me. So I got the book at the library, because this was back when that was a thing. I was 9 years old. I started reading it at 3 p.m. I read it from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. as a 9-year-old. I didn't stop. I ate dinner while reading it. I did all of the things. I kept reading it for the entire time. I binged the entire book. This is a big deal for a 9-year-old. Okay. So I recommend The Wizard of Oz first and foremost, but also there's the actual sequels up to The Wizard of Oz are also very, very good. I didn't read them until I was an adult. I now have them on my shelf, and I'm like, I enjoy children's books sometimes more than I enjoy books that are tailored for adults. It kind of goes back to what Kingsley was saying. You get more out of them as an adult, especially if you read them before as a kid, and then you have that background knowledge and kind of this is what I felt about it when I was a kid, and now I can review it as an adult and be like, okay, this was what that meant, and this was actually commentary on this, and this actually teaches a life lesson that as a kid, I didn't really understand, but now as an adult, I do. The Wizard of Oz books aren't quite as introspective or even theological or spiritual, but they still are. There's something you could read, especially when you're going through a hard time as an adult, and just kind of go back and get yourself regrounded. And this is like the drama you're going through in your adult life is just that. It's drama, and you're going to get through it. And here's something nice to kind of remind you of the person that you were before the drama happened, basically. So those are some books that I recommend both for kids and for adults, although they can get a little bit scary. So if you have very young kids, maybe not. But I could go on.
My kids would probably like that even more than.
I could go on. There's a lot of them, but I think that was my most unique selection I could give you.
Well, we're coming into the home stretch, so we're in the last few minutes. So I want to get everyone. I want you to don't tell me why, but I'm going to ask each one of you if you could have a certain job on a film. What would it be? Would you be a writer, director, producer, actor, or actress? Whatever it is. So I'll go in order. For some reason, the screen changed the order, so I'm going to go in a different order now. But so we'll start with you, CJ. What role would you have as a filmmaker? I probably guess yours, but I'll let
probably. Well, like so my dream, if I ever win the lottery, is I want to start my own animation studio. So if you wonder why I hate Disney so much, I could do a better job if I just had $1 billion.
All right. So animator. So Kelly, go.
So this is weird because I don't like makeup. It is not, I mean, you guys can tell. I don't do makeup. I don't like it. I am not good at it. However, people who are makeup artists or who do hair get full access to everybody that comes in there. And they know everybody. They get told everything. They are literally the modern day bartender. They get told literally everything. They find out stuff. I have had conversations with a lady who used to do he was now I can't even remember his name. Larry King. She used to do his makeup, and she told me so many behind the scenes stories that nobody would know, but she knew because she was one of his makeup artists. So if I did like makeup and was good at it, I would want to be that person because I would hear all the gossip. I would know everything, for better or for worse. That is the role that knows all.
All right. So
see, like when I get my animation studio, I will probably call you up to consult for music since you like music so much. I don't have much of a modern taste for music.
So Tyler, what about you? I pointed down because you're below me on the scale. What about you?
Well, considering I've directed a bunch of really bad short films, I'd say director, just because I've been in that seat before and I kind of know what it feels like. I've tried handed writing and cinematography and all the other aspects of it, and I never had the eye for it. But I enjoyed the creative side of trying to interpret direction and creative vision for something. So that's always been the side I liked whenever I used to work on that side of things.
It's always harder to do things, even if you want to do them. Like I love writing, but and I love my stuff, but I know some of it's not great. So.
Yeah, Kingsley, what about you? If you could, what position would you have on a film crew?
I would definitely want to do costume design. Love fashion, love clothes, and I think costume is so fun for movies and for TV because before the actor even speaks, you're already kind of absorbing what they're wearing, and that sets a lot of the tone for the scene and how it's going to go. So I think, to use like a woke term, there's a lot of agency in that. So I think that's something that I would really enjoy doing.
All right. So now follow up. I'm going to go in the same order. So CJ, you said animator. Is there a particular film that you have seen? It could be a film your kids like or one that you like that you would have liked to have been a part of the animation process in that movie?
My favorite animated movie is from my childhood, so it's probably very, it's a little bit more outdated, but it's The Swan Princess from Rich Animation Studios. And yeah, I like it. And I know that it has some of those proto woke stuff in it, but I really liked it as a little girl, and I like it as a woman, as a grown woman, because it's just so beautiful too. And I think it's got a really nice color palette. It's got good animation. It's got music that's very nice and memorable. Even now, I could probably sing all the songs and half the lines, and so.
All right, Kelly, what movie would you like to do makeup art on?
I mean, Top Gun Maverick.
Right to the danger zone.
I know, right? But I want to speak to CJ's point. I really love that movie as well, and I can't really pinpoint my best explanation for why I like that movie, The Swan Princess, is that it's almost a ripoff of Beauty and the Beast. It came out directly after Beauty and the Beast. The music is very, very similar. The story is not that dissimilar. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. But I really enjoyed that movie, and I'm glad to find one other person on this planet that even knows what that movie was.
I have most of the sequels too. That's like super embarrassing.
My wife actually really enjoys The Swan Princess as well. So Tyler, what movie would you have liked to have directed? It can be one that you thought was directed poorly, or just thought, man, I would have liked to have been a part of that.
I was gonna say, good Lord, I can't imagine going into a movie that I actually respect and thinking like, yeah, I can do that better. Like, heck no, I can't. I can't figure. I don't know how to do what Christopher Nolan freaking does. But you know, there's a ton of really trashy movies. I'd love to, you know, if someone gave me a lot of money, there's a bunch of. There's a really bad Christian movie that came out like 5 or 6 years ago. It was just about like a preacher who was being chased by like rogue senators who want to oppress him for like no reason, and I was like, it was a really terrible like action movie, and I'm like, okay, there's a good premise in here somewhere, and I always thought like if I ever got a chance, I'd love to do like a you know, a version of that that's not absolutely terrible, but I can't think of it would have, if I directed something, it would have to be something that I felt that was done just absolutely abysmally before, and you know, something that you could just rebuild from the top down, because otherwise I'd feel really weird touching an artist who's better than me's work.
What about Ghostbusters 2016?
Oh Lord, good luck fixing that.
I know, it's hard to fix a movie that tells the same joke over and over again in the same scene. It's like, but anyway, Kingsley, what is a movie you would have liked to have been the costume designer on?
Yeah, I know I already talked about this a lot, but I would do The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You definitely just have so many cool different elements of costume going on. Like you have, you know, obviously the half animal, half man situation going on. Then you have full blown like World War II Europe. Like it's a really interesting mix of a lot of different kind of both time periods and people. So I definitely would want to do that.
All right, and so as we're winding down, I want to give everyone an opportunity to shout out their projects, their social media handles. So we'll go in once again. We'll go in order. Hopefully, it'll stay the same as it did. For some reason on StreamYards, it's just suddenly switched. I don't know why, but so Tyler, we'll start with you. Where can people find you? What are your what's something you're working on, and everything in between?
Well, yeah, my Twitter account is in the blurb below right now. It's Antisocial Critic, or without the C at the end. I am currently between a couple of major projects at the moment, doing a lot of freelancing for Tennessee Register and the Nashville Pamphleteer, looking for some new full-time work. But beyond that, my big two projects are that I have a weekly podcast on YouTube where I interview just interesting people I meet online. And then beyond that, I do classic reviews for Geeks Under Grace. I've been threatening to do one on Wordsworth and Coleridge for the past 2 months, but I haven't had the discipline to actually sit down and read.
Oh, I'll do it. I love Coleridge.
Yeah, I keep telling people on Twitter to bully me into actually reading, but I get off.
I'll come and hunt you down.
Like, I just want to sleep. I just want to do nothing, and I have to actually have discipline to read. So at some point, I'm going to do classic reviews again, but I have to actually start reading again and have any sort of discipline at all. But yeah, follow me on Twitter, and then all my stuff is linked through there. I share almost everything out.
All right, and Kingsley, we'll go with you next. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my handle on all social media is just my first and last name, Kingsley Cortez.
Gotta make it difficult.
I know, so challenging. It is Cortez with an S, though. A lot of people always make the mistake of putting a Z. But I am on Getter, which is the company that I work at. It's a brand new social media company that's just launched. It feels a lot like Twitter functionally, but we won't censor you in any way. There's no algorithm. We don't cancel you for any of your opinions or posts. So it's a really great place to be. We're really excited. We're launching DMs. On the 4th of July, we just rolled out our TikTok competitor called Visions, and we have Livestream, as Jake knows. You're live streaming right now. So yeah, Getter's a great place. Come and check us out and follow me there.
All right, and also I have an interview with Kingsley where we talk more about Getter. So definitely go back in my archives and check that out. And CJ, I'm going to throw the ball to you. Where can people find you? Tell us about some of your books that are coming out and what you got going on.
Oh, okay. So I have like an hour to do this, right? People can find me on Twitter at writer CS Johnson. I'm on Gab at CS or writer CS Johnson too. And I I'm working on lots of stuff today. I had a couple books come out. I'm working on a serial for this year called Life of Pies, and it's about how much I hate pies, pretty much. But it's about how this lady like dies right before a big pie contest, and you got to figure out if she's murdered, and then who murdered her, and then if the person who murdered her is going to go to jail or not. And it's just cute and funny and silly and serious at the same time, which is a good way to describe me. And then I also came out with my latest episode of Fat Girl. So this model wannabe teenager eats a radioactive donut one day and accidentally becomes her city's superhero when she accidentally like sits on a terrace. And it's a really good series. The ugly fat kid in her class has a crush on her, and she ends up befriending him when he recognizes that she's Fat Girl. And in this one, the latest one, he accidentally eats a radioactive donut. And my favorite line of the whole thing is my character like looks at him, and after he's transformed, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you've been photoshopped by God." If that line doesn't make you buy it right now, well, did you even really like me at all? So, so it's just it's a superhero satire type stuff, and then I'm working on Two Flu, which is Jake's favorite books sequel about.
It's already my favorite.
Yeah. Well, Two Flu into the Crystal Vortex, I think. And we're going to talk about government conspiracies, because those are always fun. Government conspiracy, family curses, and dysfunctional relationships. Always my favorite things to talk about. So, but there's a mecha dragon, rainbow colored magic, and a talking watcher too. So, and then people. Yeah, those are the main things, but I also got a couple other things that I'm working on trying to get out for this year. And as I mentioned, I'm working on my first comic, and it's set in Atlanta, and that's all I'm going to say about it for now, except yeah, I think it'll be better than Miles Morales' Thor. So
fair enough. I'm pretty sure the comic that my nephew draw of a Pokemon fighting a dragon is better than Miles Morales' Thor. So I'm gonna throw it to Kelly now. Kelly, where can people find you?
Everybody can find me at Warrior Woman 91 on all of the platforms. Although right now my 3 main platforms are Twitter, as usual, Instagram, and TikTok. I am on YouTube as well. I'm kind of on pause there just because it's hard to put out content on all these platforms, and I can't cover them all right now. So one of the things had to drop for a while. So do subscribe to me on YouTube. I will have content there again. But right now, for current and up-to-date ridiculous dance videos and TikTok content, go to TikTok and Instagram and find me at Warrior Woman 91.
Oh, can I piggyback on that and say subscribe to my YouTube too? Because yes, I actually with One Flu, I got my audiobook narrator lady from Kingdom, who did it for Kingdom, and she's working on that book right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and release the chapters on YouTube. So.
Oh, that's great! That's fantastic. So we'll get to check out the audiobook on. On
yeah,
YouTube.
I got chapter 1 up. If anybody wants to go listen to it. And then
That's
buy
awesome.
the book and give me more money. Woohoo!
Well, it's like we were saying earlier, we can't just ignore content we don't like. We have to create content, whether it be a social media, whether it be dance, whether it be writing, whether it be commentary, whatever it may be. We need to bring out more. And I want to thank all my panelists for hopping on today. All of you have been fantastic, and to the ones who were here before, for if y'all are still listening, Faith, Christian, Sarah, thank y'all so much for coming on. Teresa as well. All of you rock. I just saw CJ vanish, but everyone to Kelly, Tyler, and Kingsley, thank y'all for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
All right, and to the rest of you, I just want to take the last few minutes to really thank everyone once again. I could not have done Studio Jake without each and every one of you, without my friends' support, without people like CJ and Kelly and Teresa and Tyler and Sarah and Christian Toto and Faith. All of them have come on my vidcast at some point. They are incredible. So definitely go follow all of them out, and I really appreciate them coming on. And I just wanted to also just say, I don't do this just to go big. That's not my intention. I do this because I want to provide an alternative to people who are more contrarian like me. Someone once asked me, because we were talking about movies, and this guy was like, "Oh, I can't remember what movie it was, but we were arguing about it, and it was a movie that he really liked and one that I really did not like, and we were kind of arguing about it and everything, and I said, I don't. He goes, I don't know why you're arguing with me. I think I have a great taste in film, and I said, well, that's fine, but I just have an average taste in film, and that's how I always go at whenever I talk about a piece of content, as I try to go at it from, I'm just a consumer, I'm just an audience member. And that's one reason why I've become such great friends with people like Christian Toto and Tyler, is because the two of them, they are really great critics, and I highly recommend their stuff. And I was fortunate to become friends with people like Kelly and her sister Teresa, that I can bounce off and have all my nerd frustration, and people like CJ who I can be an author buddy with, who I help her she helps me more than I help her, that's for sure, but she's been a really great friend, helping me get on my feet as a new writer, and I'm very thankful for friendship and people like Kinsley, who help me whenever I'm ready to launch on a new platform, or people like Faith, who I can have little spats about The Little Mermaid, but also is very smart. She knows her content. She knows pop culture. And then people that I can look up to, like Sarah Gonzalez, who I can watch, who I can know will give me the raw and unfiltered truth. And it's been such a journey. One time, I said a secret confession, and this one is a little sadder. Not sad in the sense that it's going to bum you out. I hope not. But one time, when a couple of years into working on Studio Jake, I was actually a janitor, and I worked at a church, and my supervisor was a pill. I'm going to call her Miss Moon. Miss Moon was a total pill. I didn't like working with her or for her. She was my immediate supervisor. And one day I had a record-breaking amount of views on my website. It was on a Sunday. It was a church, so I was there working. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I just had a record-breaking view." And they didn't know that they didn't know what Studio Jake Media was. I only had, and so they asked me, and I said, "Oh yeah, it's I've got over 200 subscribers," and Mrs. Moon looked at me and she said, "Oh, so all your friends and family are your subscribers?" Just very condescending and very. It was obvious what she was trying to do. She was definitely trying to hurt my feelings, and it did at the time. But now I have over 8,000 subscribers, and it's something that I am very thankful for. For some reason, I convinced 8,000 people to listen to my opinions, to hear what I have to say. And it was not possible. And like I said, they all come from different ways. Some people are subscribed on the WordPress app. Some people are subscribed through social media. Some are subscribed through their emails. And that just means a great deal to me. And as one of the things I love about being independent is I'm not beholden to any sort of corporate overlord. So I can bring you my raw, unfiltered content, and I've got so much more planned. I've got so much more ahead. If you would consider supporting me, go to studiojakemedia.locals.com. That's where I've started. I'm going to have I just launched it. I'm going to have exclusive contents. There's going to be memes. I'm going to repost my articles. So if you don't, if you're not on any of the big tech social media, you can go to my locals page and check it out. And definitely sign up, because I'm going to have exclusive content. I'm going to talk about. I talk a little bit about stuff there that maybe I don't want on the big tech social medias, but I'm really excited. Now I've got one more guest coming on. This is another fellow author, and she's also a political commentator. This is my and she's coming in on the last few minutes. But this is my good friend Rebecca Downs. Rebecca, thank you for coming on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, good. I'm so glad. I was like, I hope this works. Don't have time for technical difficulties. How's it been going?
It's going good. We've had a really good stream, a lot of good guests, and I guess you're going to round out the show. And I'm curious. I'm curious. You have. We were talking earlier today. I was asking a lot of my guests this, and what do you think is the worst take you've seen me give out on social media, or in one of my articles, or here on YouTube or Facebook or whatever? What has been my worst take that you have seen me give? Can you name one?
You want me to criticize you? I don't know.
It's just for fun.
Because I don't with friends, I try not to remember the bad takes. That's a tough one.
Well, thank you.
You could be a bit nerdy sometimes, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, one of them told me I was too nice, that I should rip more. Rip whenever a bad movie comes out, I should rip them more. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I think it's a good thing to be nice. To be constructive is important, but I don't really think there's such a thing as being too nice. Probably because I'm either too nice or too mean. So
well, thank you, and
you're welcome.
I'm gonna wrap up in these last few minutes, but I was wondering, would you like to throw out anything? We've been talking about Hollywood and how the industry's going, or whatever. Do you one of the things we talked about a lot was, what do you think the next target of Hollywood is going to be as far as a franchise they're going to take and turn over? I said C.S. Lewis. Someone else said Back to the Future. Do you think that there's going to be another target that they're going to go for?
C.S. Lewis, I think, is new. I still remember the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that series. I hope they don't take over that so soon, because they're going to be like, oh boy, they really ran out of ideas. Back to the Future would be absolutely fascinating, because it's been a few decades now. And I think that would definitely trigger strong opinions, because it was so brilliantly cast the first time. And you'll see people with strong opinions loving it or hating it. The Back to the Future was a little bit before my time, though. I did love watching the movies.
But as far as Hollywood, do you think what do you think the next target is going to be for them to woke it up?
Oh, to woke it up. Oh God, I hope they don't woke it up. They're already woking up Disney and Pixar. I think they're just going to keep going deeper into Disney and Pixar.
I gotcha. That makes sense. So before you jump off, anything you want to throw out there?
So I think you really offer a great platform. I don't know if you guys were discussing at all how the music industry and Hollywood has gone really woke with the Dobbs decision that just came down. And I think it's really comforting to see conservative media people as you engage in, even if you don't make talking about abortion or Dobbs your habit, just to not be talking about, just not to be espousing pro-abortion beliefs, I think is really refreshing, even to people who might not be pro-choice, just to get entertainment and media from someone who's involved in entertainment and media. So I think that's a great thing to stand by, and I just definitely want to give you a shout out, because I still say fantasy isn't always my genre, but you made me love fantasy because I love your books and I love the characters. Even if I need to be reminded how to pronounce the main character's name, Jasher.
RJ.
I always want to change it. And I really appreciate what you and I have going on social media because I know I could always depend on you for a like or a retweet. And I'm actually that much closer to 5,000 followers. I think I have like 110 to go, which is crazy.
Oh yeah,
And
what's your Twitter handle?
sure. So my Twitter handle is at Rebecca Rose. I am a journalist. I'm also an author. I do a lot of commenting on political matters, especially promoting the pro-life, like what the pro-life position really is. And I might be doing some other book projects soon, so stay tuned for that.
That's really great. And Rebecca, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate you jumping on the StudioJake 10th anniversary live stream.
Thank you. God bless and congrats. Congrats. I'm so proud of you, friend.
Oh, thank you. And everyone else, I'm just going to say goodbye. But before I go, I want to read the scripture verse. This is one that has always inspired me. And for everyone who knows me, I'm a Christian. I have a Christian channel now where I talk about my faith, and I discuss all kinds of matters there. But I just wanted to, so I want to read the scripture verse to you. I'm reading from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. I'm reading from the English Standard Version, which, by the way, my sister got me this Bible one year for my birthday, and I love it. But it says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." And some versions say we are God's masterpiece. So whatever you do, I'm going to throw in this shameless plug. Whatever you do, keep your eyes on your faith. Keep your eye, if you're a Christian like me, keep your eyes on Jesus and keep going forward, because the fight to save pop culture is just getting started. And I think what's lost on even conservatives who are in the fight for pop culture is they think we can brush aside their religious beliefs. We can brush aside our faith. We can brush that aside. And I don't agree with that. I think we should hold fast to our faith. I think we should stand tall. And maybe your faith is different than mine. I'll be happy if I'll be happy to pray for you and pray with you and stand by you, because I think that what brings us together is the fact that is the fact that we can win this fight, but we have to stay true to our principles. We have to stay true to our values. We can't get bogged down in minutia. And in the end of the day, that is what StudioJake is really about. Is, like I said, I want to bring you my raw, unfiltered, and unbiased. Well, unbiased for me. I mean, my thoughts aren't biased. I have my own perspective, obviously, but I want you to know that you are getting the authentic me, because that's what I care about, is bringing you something that is authentic. I'll not give you any bull malarkey, and that is a promise that I will make to anyone who will subscribe to me or to read my books, which, by the way, you can see my books right here. I've got The Seven Royals, All Good Things, and its sequel, The Seven Royals Breaking the Stars. They are the first two in a fantasy trilogy. The third book I'm working on right away, and I'm very excited about it. It's going to be fun. And then this is my very first book I ever published. It has a special place in my heart because it was the first book. It was published by a Christian publishing company. I was their first ever fiction book. It's Cacophony, A Tale of Faith and Fear. And it's like I said, it's a little raw. It's a little rough. Like I said, it's my first novel, but I had a really good time doing the research for it, writing it. I actually am very good friends with this priest named, well, I won't give his name because I don't want to give him a lot of hate online, but he said it was one of the best books he read about angels and demons, because it's about the struggle between angels and demons and the humans that are caught in the middle. So definitely check out my books and head on over to studiojakemedia.com. And thank you for staying with me for these 10 years, to everyone, from going from my mom, dad, my sister, and then at the time she was my girlfriend, but now my wife. My first 4 subscribers were the 4 of them, and now I'm at 8,000, and it is all because of you. I'm not under no delusion. I know I did not do this on my own. I did it with the help of God and you, my very faithful readers. So goodbye. Thank you for 10 years, and I'll see you next time right here on StudioJake.